And we're live. Hello and welcome to Quant Gang, episode 45. Pulse
Bang,
swap
bang,
token
bang.
announced, but there's a lot more to cover. Karim, where are you?
Oh my goodness. Let me just show you, right? Picture of 1,000 words. Imagine a video. New York City. It's loud. You might not be able to hear me. We had a great meetup here. Bunch of people. Now they're just eating, having a good time. And of course, Kareem never stops, never stops. So it's Quan Gang time. I wanted to make sure I come and spend some quality time with our viewers, talk some good stuff, and then probably after an hour or so, have to meet up with everybody else. But yeah, how's everybody doing?
I'm doing great. Yeah. Oh my gosh, there's so much stuff happening this week. FutureUs, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Not as bright as I was just a moment ago, but yeah, doing well. My face is healed from my accident, so that's good.
That's
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah, good
yeah.
to see y'all. Obviously, Maddie, I know I thought I would see you here, but the cool thing is that that's the beauty about Kwange and a website. So we can all just meet up and have a good time online. So how's everybody doing in the chat?
It looks like
Yeah.
we're having a problem that we had before where it's not going live automatically on YouTube or something. Maybe only partially live or something.
Let's see. I see some of the
Oh, it's
comments.
working now. Okay.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, they say what city you on, guys? I'm in New York, New York City. We have a beautiful. Oh, Maddie.
Oh, we lost him. Hey, that's a cool chain.
You like that? Yeah. I tried to get one made of blocks, but
Sorry about that.
I
Sorry
couldn't
about
find one.
that. Yeah, I was saying, yeah, I'm in New York City right here. We just had a beautiful, beautiful uh, workshop. I don't want to call it a meetup because we were very going down in deep, and we also had prizes and people won. It was awesome. I'm very proud of the people that took the time to, come drive further away to come here. So supporting the tour, supporting our effort, shaking our hands. Maddie, like we always talk about, right? This is what we do this for, beyond the money. So just wanted to share that real quick. And yeah, to the Quan Gang fam, always wanted to make sure, even on the road, making the apparition, whatever it takes. So,
That's right. Yeah. And our episode last week was the most viewed of all time.
mm,
Over 11,000 people tuned in
Wow.
to watch
all
the
about that
stream.
security.
That's right.
Crazy.
Yeah. The topic of security brought everybody in. The largest hack in Hex history, Hex 19. And there's been more talk, right, in the community about how to help him. A lot of people have messaged me. Some of them have done so in a very above board kind of way. Other people wanted me to put them in contact with him, but not be able to know what they're going to say or do. And that doesn't seem right. But even Richard in his latest stream today addressed the issue of SIM swap hacks.
I
Wait, Richard had a stream today?
Yeah, he uploaded it on the sly and then didn't
Oh,
message anybody.
okay. For some reason, I didn't get the notification.
With somebody named Frisbee.
Oh, okay, nice. Something to look at.
Dominic.
Not the guy who invented the Frisbee, but
Yeah,
it's spelled different. But it sounds the
yeah, it's very
same.
important.
So
And Hex 19 did reach out to us also at support for Stay Grab, and and with the help of Stab for Fireball, I'm like, hey guys, is there anything we can do? Obviously, again, a little tragedy here, but let it be a learning lesson for other people, and please, please, please be careful out there. And the best thing, Maddie, I think it was related to what you mentioned before, where in the ideal scenario is to find somebody that can write that kind of script. Again, I'm not as familiar, but to try to save some of the rest of the funds, especially the pulse chain funds. You know what I mean? So that's my biggest thing. Hopefully, we can find something for them.
we've got a solution to a lot of the
Yep.
issues, but we can't talk about them live
Perfect.
for security reasons. So
Amen. As
Yep.
long as it's taken care of. So thank you for doing that as well. Yeah, because I know there was you, Kinetics, and some other people too. So power of the community. Power of the community. Amen.
I've been seeing Karim on a lot of live streams recently and really enjoying his different takes and the information that you've been getting out there.
Wow.
Thanks
I've
for
been
that.
missing out on so much.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Again, I always speak from the heart. And the thing is that the more people are engaged, the better it is. And then what I've loved, again, same thing with the meetup we had in Boston, very big, over 50 plus people also. It's that I've always loved being like interacting with people live because it stimulates me. It reminds me, my back in the days, door to doors with customer type of thing, because since kind of like COVID, it's funny to share a little bit. I've been done a lot of like, even before doing sales, there's like a lot of virtual stuff, you know what I mean? Kind of lose that touch, and I like to be in front of people, let alone your community. And, it feels great to feel loved. So let's put it this way. And people ask me great questions. That's why the content is good, because they ask good questions. So.
Yeah.
I've got to say, Karim, I was right. I've got to say I was right. I predicted no less than 3 times on different Quant Gang episodes that you would FOMO into the US Road Tour. And can you tell us how that worked out? How that prediction went?
I mean, that works out great, because in my mind, it's like, there's no way, first of all, they're going to come to my city and I'm not going to be there. That doesn't make any sense. Number one. Number two, New York is not that far, the Hex birthday. And again, it's like karma in a way, because it's a little sad, but thank God our community is so powerful. And again, decentralized and censorship resistant, because Abit couldn't make it because of the situation and stuff. So that really kind of galvanized that too, for me to be able to step up, because now I can really help out Patrick directly. So it went from, hey, I'm just going to attend and help out, maybe answer questions, to like, okay, no, I'm actually doing the workshop with Patrick, and, we've been doing great. And he has a great slideshow. And what I like is he's been doing this for, obviously a little bit of time. So he's already got the practice and everything. So it just well-oiled machine. It works like a charm. So honored to be there, and then, putting the work. So again, and then they're also helping out Abit. So hopefully he's going to be here by the end of the week. So tomorrow, ideal. We'll see.
Yep. Yeah. And that's amazing that as a community, we're coming together to help. I heard Molly, the investor, say today in the comments of one of the live streams I was watching that Hex has the greatest community of all time. And that sounds pretty like a lot of hyperbole, but definitely within the crypto space, there's no stronger group. And that's what people continue to say when Richard is doing these big interviews, that, people take notice. The Hexagon group on Twitter is probably the most prominent, and that's not by accident. There's actually a deep psychology to why Hexagons stick together, and it has to do with us having such a long time preference to be able to stake longer. And now we're kind of stuck with each other and making the best of it. It just so happens that the people who are in Hex that we're stuck with are other amazing people. So it would not be as good if the community wasn't full of so many people who are bright and motivated and wanting to make the world a better place, focusing on self-improvement. There are a number of announcements I want to make tonight. And I wanted to have Pulse Lord on the program. He makes a lot of good Hex music, and so I sent him the link. I hope he'll be able to join. And I've got some other materials that we can go over, but I wanted to definitely announce that. So I'm starting V2 of Hex Therapy, okay? And I understand that, yeah, sure, I'm kind of copying off a Staker app, with the marketing, calling it V2. But look, we're going into the second chapter, the second year of Hex, right? And I'm going into the second year of my streaming. And so that's why I wanted to devote the next chapter of Hex Therapy to relationships. One thing that I noticed when I was asking myself, who's the audience that subscribes to this channel for Quant Gang, for Hex Therapy Live? And it's not people who are new. We have specialized this channel for advanced users. And we've really got, I think, the best audience in crypto, because these are not people who are interested in day trading, not people who are getting served up to marketers. This audience is not for sale. And so beyond that, I think that has attracted a lot of people who really care about, honest broadcasting, who, trust in the people who come on the program, and who really get a lot out of it, out of the program. And so, in order to keep that audience engaged, right? If we did a pivot to focusing on content for people who are new, right, then we would lose our core audience. We would lose the people who, you know, got us here. And so, in my opinion, I think, you know, onboarding, that's something that happens when I joined the US road tour, right? I've been to 4 different cities, and there are over 100 other streamers that are doing content, many of whom are focusing on beginner level stuff. But so when it comes to hex therapy, I want to continue to provide for the people who watch this show more value when it comes to what do you do once you get your money right. Once you get your money right, then life is going to continue and needs to continue to have more meaning. And so when we talk about healthy relationships, I taught a therapy class for 5 years where I basically put together an entire book of materials from scratch to help people and to build on what is known in the science of healthy relationships, but as well as the practice. And so I really got to see what works for people. And this isn't just healthy relationships when it comes to romantic or dating. It's the bigger idea of what's your relationship with yourself. And when I tuned in to Karim's new show, I had watched the second episode and then I watched the first episode. And I think it was one of those where Steph even went into this idea of what's your relationship with your future self. People are poor at planning. And so that's his great vision is to give people the tools, and Karim can speak more to what the vision is at Staker App. But I'm super inspired by what Karim and Steph and others are doing. I see the need for especially dolphins and sharks and squids and turtles, right? The future millionaires and billionaires of the world, like, are going to need the skills necessary, right, to not only protect your financial wealth, not only to understand hex and to know what you have, but then to have more in life than just money. And so that's why I'm gonna try to tailor each of the hex therapy episodes to what's your relationship with blank. And so it could be your relationship with your relationship with people you date. What's your relationship with yourself? What's your relationship with drugs and alcohol? What's your relationship with material possessions, right? There are lots of areas that we'll be able to explore. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, no, it's good. I was muted, but yeah.
Go ahead,
Yeah, it's
FutureUs.
good. Yeah, I saw the first one already, V2, alpha or beta or whatever it was. Yeah, it was good. It was good. I think it's a great idea. Because community is about relationships anyway, so it seemed to go down really well.
Awesome.
Yeah, you would definitely.
Absolutely. And then again, it's important and it's good that you want to go a level deep, because just like we talk about, the syndromes that you get when the Southern Wealth syndrome and the levels to that. So
Yes.
it's something that's connected to, as you grow, as you become better, or as you become wealthier, there's new sets of tools you need to get, because there's new sets of problems that you might actually encounter that you didn't encounter before. So having that continuity, especially in the community that you started with, I think it's great. It's a natural transition. It makes sense. And then again, it puts the best interest at heart for the community, the individual, so they know what they have and they continue to, stay, date, and chill, right?
That's right. Yeah. Hey, Pulse Lord, how's it going?
You made it.
You're muted. What's up?
Oh, the irony.
The audio isn't working. Let's see.
Is it a delay or is it just not working?
I don't. Yeah, no audio.
I'm not sure what microphone he's using, but
yeah. Pulse Lord, check your mic or try to see. Is he muted? Are you muted? Or?
It doesn't say that he's muted, so it must be a mic setting.
Right. Or worst case, try the link again.
Nope. Nope.
But yeah, what?
Right.
Sure.
The audience is gonna problem solve.
Yeah, right. Chat, help. Just kidding. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, Maddie, I think it's definitely a great idea for those combination of things, and I can't wait for even version 3. Who knows? As they continue to evolve, because that's how we do, right? We constantly evolve, we get better. So hopefully, Pulse will get that figured out.
That's right. So people hit the like and subscribe button if you want Pulse Lord's mic to work, or even if you don't. But hopefully,
still no audio. Still no audio. Sorry. Yeah.
FutureUs, are you wearing a nice necklace, or am I seeing something, Maddie? I just have some bling bling. I just noticed.
We need to cover
I want to get this out of the way. I want to get this out of the way. Firstly, I saw Richard stream today with Dominic Frisbee. How many times has he been on stream wearing his big chunky necklace? I only just noticed it for the first time today.
Okay.
Any idea? Anyone else?
Long time.
Anyway.
Come on. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I've never noticed it before. I've had this a couple of months, and I bought it as a bit of a laugh to wear on Cont Gang as a kind of a hex flex back when we were doing the whole hex flex thing, and I just kept forgetting and not showing up and everything else. And I tell you, it weighs a ton, and I'm so glad it's not actual gold, because I don't know that I can carry the weight. I'm gonna take it off now, but yeah, I'm glad some people liked it. But
before the pulse on your neck.
Yeah, I think it's. How much I think it's stainless steel or something with some kind of coating. Oh, that's better. Hang on.
Sounded heavy.
Oh, yeah. Did I make you took it out?
Yeah, no. It weighs a ton.
No, you swag it.
And it's not even gold. If it was gold, I don't even know how much it would cost if it was gold, but it would be so much heavier. I couldn't wear it.
Oh wow! I like it.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. But it's hard to wear something. Well, if I bought a real one, I'd like the links to be longer with a gap in between them. It looks a bit cluttered, a bit claustrophobic, and it would definitely have to be, at the very least, gold-plated silver or something or other. Otherwise, I just feel like a total fraud. But it's good for dress-up parties, though.
Definitely. Yeah. Hey, Maddie, just tell them to maybe log out and log back in. Maybe that will help. Just say.
Yeah, Pulse Lord maybe logging out and logging back in, or okay,
cam mic settings in. Oh, it's not there. In StreamYard itself, could be just that. On the audio. Yeah, in StreamYard, cam mic down the bottom. Settings comes up, click on audio, and then you can select mic from there.
Okay, it's back on. Let's try.
Can't hear you. Reading lips, it was like done that or did that.
Still same. Oh, I felt bad. Let's try.
Try to join on your phone, maybe.
Yeah, try on your phone. Maybe that'll work. Yeah,
that should work.
Crazy. This is what happens when you don't have the 50-channel mixing desk. And you're just dealing with one USB plug. It's never going to work. Yeah.
Yeah, the phone will probably be the best for him.
So we're gonna cover. I think we're gonna cover, of course, the clickbait, the pulse swap, what we know about it and what we don't know, and all that good kind of stuff. Nice. We're gonna cover. Yeah, we're gonna cover much more. We got Hex's birthday coming up this week. That's going to be lit. It's going to be a party all around the world. We'll tell you where to go and what to wear. And yes, it includes a necklace like FutureUs just showed off.
Richard's one's so much better. It's actually pretty similar to what I might get. We should talk about gold necklaces. I think that's we haven't spent a whole episode talking about necklaces before. Why not? Let's do it.
I did want to cover new material.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So that counts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That fits the category.
Yeah. They need to be made of blocks. That's all I'm saying.
And also, Maddie, I definitely want to. I don't know if you heard, but I want to talk about markets too, which I think is important to touch that. Since I may not be here for the full show, because there's some shenanigans happening there too that needs to be addressed. Pulse Lord, can you hear us?
I can. Can you got me?
Yeah.
All
right. Nice.
Woo. Thanks for topping that up. Yeah, not good
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah. I get to look at small screens, but that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, as long as we can hear you, I think that's the most important thing. Because I'm on my phone too, because I'm in the Yamani Valley on my computer, so we have similar type screens. So
Yep, gotta do what you gotta do.
yeah, amen, amen. Yeah, thanks for being here today. So yeah, Maddie,
Thanks
go
for
ahead.
having me. I'm sorry I missed the first part of the show. I hit traffic for the first time in a long time, and that's just how it goes, you know.
It's all
Oh,
good.
yeah.
I'm excited that you're here, and I know that you were coming on the show because I asked you for a couple of reasons. Definitely because you were somebody who reached out and who was asking if there is a donation address for Hex 19. Can you tell me what you were thinking there?
Well, so you know, when it happened, I think everybody knew, you know, you could catch quick news of it real quick that there was going to be a huge payout, and people speculated that it was what it was. And right then and there, I knew I didn't want it. You know what I mean? And it kind of, because it turned out to be what we thought it was. And
It was a hack, yeah.
yeah, and it kind of exposed a cool part of this where we know where a large amount of that money went, and I got some of it. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, the payout per T-share was 24 hex per T-share, and normally it's 5.8. And so all, that triple payout was due to Hex 19 being hacked for about $80 million emergency unstaked. So
right,
the hacker didn't know what they were doing, and they blew through, I think, 3 different stakes. One of them was 100 million hex that had been staked before big payday, and so that was a bigger pays better bonus thing that Hex 19 had set up.
Yeah, and so then when you had him on, I could tell right away that he's the guy's awesome. First off, who doesn't love Hex 19?
Correct.
What a cool guy.
Yeah,
and
sure.
and I just wanted to give it back even more, because I warned about this type of thing to whoever I could get to listen, that this is going to create lots of dreams coming true for people, but it's also going to create some nightmares, and it's unavoidable. Gut feeling, I'm sure Hex 19 is okay. The guy's lived a life of a boss, and he had something bad happen, but it's like you said, he's going to continue being himself and being okay. But he still got that sick feeling in his gut. You know what I'm saying? It's unavoidable. Nobody wants to live through that, no matter how much it is, because the feeling of having to start over is really tough.
Yes.
And if I was able to start over again, I wouldn't have staked majority from one wallet, and I'm going to fix that as soon as I can. Just because it is safer.
So there.
Yeah,
So I just wanted to share kind of some results that we had. So we did a survey here on the channel. Let me see if I can share my screen here. But basically asking the audience if they would be doing anything different now that we did the episode about the hack, which was our biggest viewed episode ever. 11,000 people watched, and here we had 677 votes after the Hex shark attack. Are you happy with your current security? Only 27% said yes.
Right.
For people who already took or are taking action now to increase security, that was 34%. 20% of people said they'd need to first learn more about security before taking action, and 20% didn't want to comment, probably because it was a question about security. So so that's a lot of people. That's the majority of users know that they need better security. And and so that's why I'm glad that we had Papa B on last week, and why Richard is touching on it, and there are a lot of good resources out there for people.
Yeah, it's super important, and we probably should talk about it more, because Hex is so in depth. A lot of people on board, you're picking and choosing what you're going to try to explain in them short periods of time, and security is never one of them. because there's just no time. You know, I could eat up as much time as possible with any given person I'm onboarding, and I never really get to the part where I'm like, hey, let me explain Google 2FA to you real quick, because I mean, sometimes I do, but you know, even then, it's not smart to use the SMS. You know, you got to actually set up the app, and you got to learn and trust it, because we saw what happened. If you get, you know, if someone steals your phone number, which is a hack I've seen before, it's going to take minutes, if not hours, to fix the problem, and that could be all it takes. And that person's going to start getting texts that will allow them into accounts if they have the other information needed. And the same with the Google email. I want to put it out there because I was unaware. You can put 2FA on your email, you know, and it's super critical. Because again, if you had that 2FA app and you had to use that to get into your email, it's an incredible firewall that I don't think people are aware of even. I mean, it's a little bit of a pain in the butt, but you know, what's the alternative?
Exactly. Yeah. The more people do their own research on security and enable, you know, take this as your moment, right? If you didn't take action yet, take action now. Do it, because there's no better time to up your security than when your fellow Hexakin gets hacked for $80 million, right? You literally got paid 3 times as much your daily interest to care about security. Are you gonna care about it or not? Here,
Yeah,
I've got a link to Hex Graphs, which has a number of resources here. There's one that says how to transfer your seed phrase from MetaMask to Trezor, right? And that's something that Papa B talks about in the episode from last week. And then there's even here how to use Staker app is on one of these pages. And so this is awesome materials here for people to learn more about their security.
Awesome.
Yeah, Maddie, and what's important here also to keep in mind is a couple best practices too. Okay, number one, do not try to do something that you do not fully understand, because the stat is still out there. 90% of the time, people will lose their funds or whatever. It's user error, so it's very, very important. Because again, I see, unfortunately, you know, support tickets about that all the time. So please keep that in mind as your number one. Number two, best practices too, you know, sadly, and I'm sure X19 is going to learn from that, is, right, try to avoid screenshots, right? Stuff on your phone where all your passwords, like you're literally inviting for, you know, those nefarious actors to just come in and basically take it to the cleaner, because it becomes a single point of failure because everything is just there. And then from there, you know, there's nothing anyone can do after that. So keep those two things in mind. Post Note said it best too. You know, you can have multiple wallets just to spread the risk. And like Steph said it perfectly last week, security is a spectrum. I repeat,
Yes.
security is a spectrum. Depending on how much you have, this is the beauty about what we have at Secret App, because we're looking at it based on what people have, but also what's also easy for people to do. And then, of course, in the future, we're going to be able to enable, you know, multi-sig, all the other cool stuff, and we're going to be able to dynamically suggest. Again, we can't force people to do nothing. They do whatever they want to do, but suggest like, hey, when you reach a certain level, it won't be a bad idea to upgrade your security. Like, for example, if X19 has upgraded security, since, you know, it's OG, some of the stuff, you know, would have like not happened. Like, you shouldn't have MetaMask big account on your phone. That doesn't make sense to me. Like, that needs to stop. If you're one of those people, if you already know the potential risk of MetaMask, and let alone you're gonna have that on your phone, you're crazy to me.
So that again, like, you know, it speaks to Steph's point, right? That security is a spectrum. So if you have $10 worth of Ethereum only, and you don't think Ethereum is going to do another 10,000x anytime soon, then like maybe you are good with having a screenshot, right? But then make sure that screenshot, you know, that account never gets used for anything serious until you're able to migrate, right, to a Trezor or a Ledger or whatever it is to better security. And so what we'll probably find at the end of the day is that people will go through phases where they upgrade their security. And that's what we're encouraging everybody to do now.
And one more thing, just to double down on that, because I mean, I'm a firm believer of this. I just don't like screenshot. Period, guys. Please, because the thing is that even if you use a wallet for, because I've seen it for like, oh yeah, that was just my dummy account, this and that, or oh hey, at first I used Sticker app just for fun, I
My
didn't care.
largest stake is in my dummy testing account.
Yeah,
It's funny how
and
things
then
work
and
out.
then you yeah, and then you forget that it's the dummy account, and you start putting some significant amount of funds, and then you forget the fact that you took a screenshot. Next thing you
That's a
know,
good
it's
name
out
for
there
it.
into the universe. So I'm just saying,
Dummy
please,
account.
that's just me, my 2 cents. I don't like screenshot. So
No.
that's me.
It's Security 101, never screenshot. Never,
Please.
never.
It's not a good idea, and there's no reason to access this on your phone. I I tell people all the time, I've never done crypto anything on my phone. I mean, I don't even have to worry about it. And if I want to look at something, you can download Staker and you can put in a wallet address and you can look all day without leaving a way for people to access that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why we have the V only mode. And again,
If you
even
don't
on
have a
Twitter, we don't have like keys on there. That's why I'm saying the critical stuff, like you were saying too, post log, Google Authenticator, all those kind of stuff. Because Google Authenticator actually is what protects you against SIM swap, because they need to actually either have the phone physically with them or have the private key related to what creates the authenticator. Like let's say when you get a new phone. So if you also have that password on the screenshot, then you do, because they don't even need your phone, because they can just recreate the authenticator on their phone because they got the key. So again, that's why this is an easy single point of failure. It's like a layup. You're literally inviting to trouble to come.
Yeah. And for those that, I thought it might be interesting to touch on, memory, because I've never screenshot it. I have paper passwords and I make sure that they won't burn up in a fire. And that's my thing, because I don't trust the computer and I'm not going to make any files, and it's just the best way to go. Shoot, I lost the main point of what I was going to say, but it'll come to me in a second.
What I like about what you just said is also that you're accountable in the sense where you know what you're good at and you know where your discipline is. You see, again, going back to the spectrum, I know people who are very, very techy and very good with the hardware wallet, and that just works for them. You know what I mean?
Right.
But the thing is that you got to know thyself, and one of the easiest way for people who are non-techy, because that's the reality of the majority of the people that we're going to onboard, like Steph said it best last week too, we need a system that's going to be easy for people to duplicate, to be safe, and be able to onboard themselves and not run away from the tech because it's too complicated. The next thing you know, they don't want to be in crypto.
Yeah. And I remember what I was going to say. So, if you need a trick for remembering, anybody out there, I read a book on memory once, and because I was studying legal terms, and it's so interesting. It just comes in my head and then out the other side. So I had to come up with some techniques, and it was actually real interesting. And in summary, if you just want to learn how to remember a password, I can give you a trick. So the gist of what this guy had discovered was if he would go into memories that already existed, and a lot of us do this already. If I meet Maddie and I know another Maddie, I'll picture that other guy. And I'll always, every time I think of Maddie, I'll picture that other guy. It's a longer burnt in memory, just like the internet works. And I'll be able to recall it quicker. And so a way you could use that is you could picture the last place that you lived, and let's say that your password started with a K, and then you'd picture the kitchen or the kitchen sink, and then you picture that word above the kitchen sink and just picture it there for a while. And because that kitchen sink area is so ingrained into your memory, you're going to find that word you just placed in that memory with it is now in there with it. And it works incredibly. It's pretty cool.
Nice. Good stuff. Yeah, visualization definitely helps. So.
Yeah, compartmentalizing and creating cues for yourself in your own memory.
That's right. He called it memory palaces, where his old memories he would fill up with different words and their definitions and stuff. And it's just like because that pathway is so much more frequently traveled in your brain, it's not that hard to remember the new thing you stuck there. It's pretty cool.
More or less works. Unless you ride a scooter and face plant the pavement like I did.
Hey,
at about 30 kilometers per hour, I could remember nothing for half an hour after that.
Violent memories, though. actually are ingrained really well. Not when you can't, it knocks the consciousness out of you, but
Yeah, if I
if
attach something to that trauma now, I ain't never
yeah,
forgetting it, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
if you create a password around that experience, and then you think about them together, yeah, for sure, you never forget.
Mm, mm.
But don't try to memorize your seed words, because then somebody can torture you and
Oh my God, yeah,
extract the information.
Getting
So
hypnotized, yeah.
Yeah, or hypnotized. Yeah, my goodness.
yeah.
I
Don't
hadn't
play
even
that
thought of
game.
that one. Yeah.
But
Oh,
the
dear.
so the takeaways from this hack, though, the positives, which that was really the reason we had a Hex 19 on the show, was that over 34% probably of the audience is taking action to increase their security, and so I think we should all be thankful for this event, even though it is a tragedy, that it motivates us as a community to have a better security setup. And to Pulse Lord's point, he wanted to donate the extra interest back to Hex 19. And so that's I wanted to have him on the show to explain why he wanted to do that. That's something I want to do as well. And for me, it's going to be quite some time right before my hex is coming out of my average stake length.
I was just
But
about to say that.
nonetheless, I was able to message Hex 19, but we haven't had anything set up yet, because I really want to make sure we get him set up with something that is like a fresh wallet that is extremely secure, and let him take his time with that. And so what we can say we'll be able to do is we'll be able to also verify the new account by using the account that I used to verify that he was the one who already was in the that he was the one who got hacked. I set up a new account on Ethereum, and then I used the Ethereum naming service to label it QuantGang verified.eth. And that way, anybody who's looking into this hack can clearly see why there's Ethereum going from this fresh account to the account that got hacked and back again. And then when I was on the phone with Hex 19, I sent him some ETH. He sent ETH back, and that proved that he had the private keys. And other than that, it was the same person who has been messaging back and forth for so long, and we talked to him on the phone and everything. So we have independent verification from his daughter and from Kryptosparbach and everybody else that this is the right person. And so all that to say, once we get him set up with a donation address, then I will send some ETH from the QuantGang verified.eth address, and that will help to make sure people don't get scammed into donating to the wrong donation address.
Nice. Yeah, like I said, I think it's cool that we do know where a large amount of this hex went, and it's easily recoverable for those that decide or want to send it back. You know what I mean? And it's not going to make or break me by any means. Matter of fact, it's going to, it's just sitting there making me more money probably. But so yeah, absolutely. And that's, that's what I wouldn't expect nothing less from our community. To honestly, the majority of the people that are really into this and really involved, it just seems like that's just what we're about, is making things right that we can. And
Yes.
we just so happen to have the ability, you know what I mean? Fortunately, it's fortunate that guy, that he can't take it all. He didn't get it all. You know what I mean?
No.
So,
That's right. Yeah.
And what we got is locked up in stake, of course, so
Yeah.
can't access it just yet.
Defense mechanism really kicked in and really proved why it is superior. So I think that's what Post Law is able to explain here, and most likely for different reasons, But I predict again, year 5, year 7.5, we're gonna see a lot more of those. You know what I mean? Because there's gonna be people with trigger happy fingers. My biggest worry for Hex 19 at this point, what I would like for us to really, really focus on, honestly, in terms of priority, because nobody knows how many days we have. You know what I mean? Again, Pulse can launch whenever it's going to launch. Again, hashtag software is hard. We should make that trending. But my thing is, he has I don't know if people are aware, but over like 400 some thousand on on the poll side. So I'm worried about him not losing that. Does that make sense? Because
We've
I
got
would love
solutions for that.
Yeah,
okay.
again,
That's
Yeah, we don't want to talk
my-
about. Yeah, we don't have to talk about it on air.
yeah.
That's my main thing, man. Yeah, whatever it takes to get that taken care of. Yeah, let me know
I
because
think it's going to fall under the Gox Me Not, category.
Correct.
I don't. It's still under control. So.
Yep.
Good. Amen, amen. And then also let it be a learning lesson, people. Please, again, security, and think long term. So definitely.
Yes, it is. It is crucial and number one. And as Maddie was saying, or whoever was just a minute ago, it's going to get more and more intense.
Karim said that. Yeah.
A lot of people aren't going to be prepared. First of all, when you might get stressed out. You might look at your wallet one day and have stress that one day you guys there's just so many experiences you're going to have. You'll question yourself. You'll be like, did I prepare for this? Usually the answer is no. Usually I prepared for what I had, not what I'm having in 3 months. And so I was kind of looking around, wondering if I need to ask somebody what I should be doing better. But ultimately, I just intuitively had done things pretty simply, to where I access what I do on one computer and I buy other computers for other people and other things, and then I shut it all the way down and move on with my day,
Yes.
Yep. Yep.
Perfect. No, that makes sense. People in chat so funny. Yeah, no, I'm in the hallway because there's the kind of the party still going on. It's loud, so I'm in the hallway. I'll pull up a chair.
I was just thinking for anyone out there on the security thing that's operating only, say, on an iPad or something like that, and they don't actually have a laptop, there's bound to be some. The only hardware wallet I know of that works on iOS devices I think still is, the Ledger Nano X, is it? The one with Bluetooth, anyway. Yeah. There's no other. And ironically, the Bluetooth part of that does not work with PCs and laptops, which blows my mind, but whatever. So there is that option if all you have is an iPad or a phone or whatever, and it happens to be Android as well, then you can use a hardware wallet at least. And of course, Staker app and everything that's coming for that. But yeah, I mean, I don't think you can port. Karim, can you port like an old MetaMask keys into Staker app? Is that a feature they're gonna? So like you could migrate off of MetaMask, get rid of it, and
no, I don't think so. What I'm aware of is that, again, we just mentioning in terms of like crazy what if, imaginary whatever, right? Sticker app goes down, whatever. You can take your 24 words and you can kind of get into MetaMask and then use the
go the other way for sure.
I'm not aware that you can do the opposite.
It wouldn't make a lot of sense though, would it? I mean, because like what I was asking, because you'd then be asking Staker app to be MetaMask with the same level of security. So what are you gaining?
Exactly. We're non-custodial. We can't do that.
Yeah.
It's too much, and it's not built for that. So.
No. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah.
No, there are also legal reasons and stuff.
That's
why, again, it's funny because it's like a paradox, right? You want to be extra safe. You want to know that your funds is still your funds and only you have access to it, which is what we want. But then again, that responsibility comes with that too. So we always say, take it seriously, take your time. There's no rush. Take care of your onboard. Like, don't just throw people down you know what I mean? Like, hey, come here and do this, do that. Like, there's nothing wrong just holding them by the hands if you want to sleep better at night and know that your friends, especially if they're friends or colleagues, or that you direct on board, you know what I mean? If it's just you're running an ad online, well, it is what it is. But maybe you can put some verbiage in there. But if you really know the person or some type of connection, spend the time to tell them to slow down, write it down, to make sure they keep it safe. All that stuff matters. Because if you can just do that one part, I promise you, 90% of the stuff that we're talking about, you won't have to worry about. So.
Yeah. When I'm doing onboarding over the phone or whatever, like my dad, for example, comes to mind. Love you, Dad. He won't be watching, I don't think. You know, the first thing I say is, whatever you do, there's these seed words are going to come up and you've got to write them down. Now, whatever you do, no screenshot, no this, no that, don't put them in iCloud, rah, rah, rah. And then we go through the whole process. And he's like, okay, it's all done. And I go, right, now we got to do it again. He's like, oh, man, why? I said, because you took a screenshot or put them in iCloud or something, didn't you? Yeah, okay.
Got him.
Actually, no, you have
Legit,
to.
that's what happened.
It's important. You have
Yeah.
to. If you don't, it
He
gets.
said, but
really,
only
really
I have the
crazy.
password. It's secure, you know. It's
Yeah.
And I'm like, no,
I mean,
no,
we're
it doesn't work like that.
gonna like kind of beat into people's head in a good way. Like if you watch our Sunday show last week, how some of the new pictures of V2, how we're gonna be like, hey, did you write your seed? Like, did you put it away? Are you really sure? Are you really sure? Are you really sure? Like, we're gonna do that just to make sure to drill that into
On
people's
paper,
head.
offline only.
Yeah, and every
Yeah.
slide tells you the risk also that you can truly lose everything. Because better be safe than sorry, you know?
When I search for a keyword on my new iPhone, it can read every picture I've ever taken, and it'll pull up the pictures of the word like there's a word written,
Whoa.
right? So if I have a T-shirt that says hex and I type hex into my phone, it will pull up that picture, right? So the
Character
computer
recognition.
overlords are watching. They're looking for these keywords. The seed words are not an excessive number. It's only a set of so many words. It's not all the words in the English language. So it's very easy for a hacker to get in there and do something with that, which is why it's so important for us to like share that knowledge with the experts here who watch the show, who are going to be onboarding others, to really know why is it that you can't take a screenshot. The reason is because it's so easy for computers now to search through the words in your screenshots.
Yeah.
Very
And a
well
lot of
said.
people have
What
them
about that?
automatically synced to their family photo sharing or whatever, and oh, whoops, forgot.
Yeah, the cloud. You thought that was the best friend, but that could be your worst enemy too.
Yeah. No, you write them down on paper. That's the first thing you do. And ideally, you never ever type those words back into any computer ever again. You get a hardware wallet or something where you can do it offline, and some other non-computer, non-internet connected device where you can reestablish that key phrase, ideally. And that's there's technical know-how involved with all of that, and again, Stacker App's working on all of that, making it much easier through a whole different means. So
So please
it's coming.
use those. Yeah, please use those best practices because again, software is hard and we're building as fast as we can. So you got to allow us to have the time to be able to catch up. So in the meantime, protect that.
And the reason you should never type it into a computer again, even into another MetaMask, is because that computer may have a keylogger on it. You don't know. If I want to, I mean, if a hacker wants to, you can. I keep assuming everybody knows these things, but the little USB stick things, right? You can buy them actually now on AliExpress, I think, but you can certainly make a little USB device like that, which is a keyboard. The computer believes it's a keyboard. And then you can store on that a whole sequence of keystrokes that will, say on a Windows computer, for example, it'll bring up the command prompt, go into it, type in a whole bunch of commands, install some hacker software, whatever, close the thing down and go back to where it was. You plug that into the computer, in about 2 seconds, it does all that and it's gone. You pull it out again, you walk away. That's all it takes. And you now own that computer. As soon as it connects to the internet or whatever, well, everything is, I'm thinking dial-up days. There goes the dog. That's all it takes. Anyone who knows you've got money can come to your house, cleaners, contractors, anything. And if they can get near your PC and do that, they own it. End of story. If it's on and logged in when they happen to be there. It only takes a couple of seconds. Plug in, done. That's it. That's all it takes. And you completely own. I mean, you get to full access. So then the hacker goes home and it's how easy it is.
Wow.
It's very, very easy.
So
Yeah,
don't make it any easier for them.
Yeah, hacking you online from the other side of the world on the internet, there's ways, but if they know you've got money, I mean, how hard is it to get that done while you're asleep, while you're not home, when you're whatever, you know? It's just, don't leave the keys on a computer. Just don't. And if you do, for God's sake, don't let anyone know you've got money. Yeah.
That is
What
great.
else? What else do we need to know about security?
I don't know. Go live on an island.
I mean, the main thing that I will always say again is repetition, repetition. You know what I mean? Like, again, we almost spent an hour on it because it's an important topic. Guess what? In a few weeks and weeks after that and months after that, we're going to come over and over because it's just that important. And also because, Maddie, the reality is, as we're growing faster and faster, we're going to have to worry about, well, not worry, but be mindful that we got new people coming in, new viewers, new community members that haven't even heard that. So they have to be trained as well, right?
Well,
The
even
same way we teach people about staking and the price so they don't become weekends and stuff like that. I think security is a similar, thing like that. Go ahead, Postlo.
I was gonna say, even I don't even use the same browser for MetaMask for anything else. I don't even use the same browser. And log out, you guys. Lock yourself out of your wallet when you're done, because if you do use the same browser, I was just watching something on this recently. You're way more vulnerable. And if you've got your wallet open, apparently it's visible if someone were to be in there with you on your browser. However that works, I'm not a hacker or a super technical computer guy. I just know that you're much more safe if you close that thing out and lock yourself out. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then honestly, beyond even going to that fancy stuff, you want to lock that thing. Why? Because what if you put the computer on sleep mode or whatever, or you go somewhere and then hey, can I use your computer real quick? Boom, 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 and then it's just open. Like, just why take the risk? It makes no sense to me. Do what you got to do, lock it up, move on. Why would you want to create a necessary risk? Because now it's not a mistake, it's a choice, at least in my book, because I hold people accountable. Because if not, you're not going to take it seriously. And then, you're just going to like, oh, yeah, nothing bad's going to happen. And then, boom, and when it happens, then you're just going to crack, Like, no, please, don't take a necessary risk.
Yeah. And, some of the stuff sort of sounds complicated, and there are procedures that need to be learned, and most of those procedures are things not to do. And so for someone who's really new, it could be really off-putting and all that. So not to say it's not still extremely important.
I don't let new people watch this channel. So.
You don't have to get it all right on day one. But if you make sure that the people only write the seed phrase down on a piece of paper, that you're more or less 90% of the way there in terms of all of the mistakes that everybody makes, and then you can catch up with them later and explain why and all that kind of stuff.
Here's a fun practice. Pretend like you lost access to your device that you normally access your hex with, and prove to yourself that you have those words written down somewhere. That's the number one way people are going to keep tracking the price of hex. And when it's $1,000 per hex, they're going to be like, okay, I'm 50% of the way on my 10-year stake.
Maddie, there's no way I can forget. There's no way I can forget those words. I've got them on the cloud. I've got them on iCloud. I've got them on Google. I've got them on files and the thing. I've got them on my backup drives. I've got them everywhere. I'm not going to. I don't need to write them down.
Yep, people are not going to be able to find the words that they wrote down, right? And if some tragedy happens, like a fire or a theft or anything, right, you're exposing yourself. So do the work now. At least go through. It's like a fire drill, right?
Yeah.
Do your fire drill with your secret recovery phrase, and at least prove to yourself that that you have it written down somewhere in multiple places, and that find out where you are on the spectrum of security and level up.
So I know the places my keys phrases are written down, and I remember that I wrote them down on paper, maybe some of them on cardboard, but I have no memory of doing it. It's like I've memorized the places where they are, but I can't actually remember the writing out of the words or what the words are or anything else. So it's surprisingly easy to forget. You think, oh, I've done this, check, and the brain goes, okay, don't need that no more.
Yes.
Yeah, and then 3 years go by, and it's like, damn. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Which,
Again, please be careful out there. So
and that's
I would
why
like just to tell
that's why people
Yeah.
put them on the cloud and all that as a backup, because they don't want to lose them. But it's just
Yes.
you just don't
that
do
is
it.
it,
You
yeah,
just
and then the
you
cloud
can't.
can be compromised.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a good comment in the chat. They were also saying, in terms of security, how do we, if we're OG and putting our face out there, how do we protect ourselves? So again, security is a spectrum. I like to just give a couple best practices, which to me are just common sense, right? When you're traveling, you should not have, again, your seat phrase nowhere near you whatsoever. It doesn't matter because again, you're moving. Doesn't matter who you're with. Doesn't matter. I mean, it's not like because I don't trust anybody. It's just like why would you want to take the unnecessary risk? That's number one.
It's an attack vector, and it
Yeah,
shouldn't exist.
exactly.
Yeah.
I remember back in the day from OG Bitcoiner, Trace Mayers, or even Vitalik to some extent, like how the big hard wallets and stuff and multi-sig. It doesn't. Again, they don't walk around with it. They don't have it nowhere near. Whatever you're moving around, it's just the little thing that you need for wherever you're going or traveling or whatever. The other stuff, you don't. That's another beauty piece of mind you get with the sticker app because again, there's no button on the app where somebody can go and extract the key whatsoever. So
Yeah.
you get that peace of mind. Number two, it does help to have a powerful community. That's a fact because it's like protecting your belongings, right? With people that you trust, right? I trust Manny, for example, right? And I believe you trust me too, to some extent. So because we have similar interests to some extent, and when we're going to places or if we're going, like, say, on the tour, you're running with like a tight group of people that
Yes.
don't watch your back. It's kind of like the people who are in London, looking out for Richard, right? It's the same thing. So little things like that, it's better that, especially if you go to a new city, new country, like ideally try not to be by yourself, that kind of stuff. Like traveling in
Correct.
groups and packs. So that definitely helps. And then the last thing will be again, we'll talk about screenshots and all that kind of stuff. To be very, very careful. Even when you meet people, oh, you into crypto, you into this, you into that. Be careful because sometimes, even when I was in Dubai, believe it or not, there's scammers there too. So you gotta be very careful. Sometimes the scammers can be at the nice events and all sort of stuff. That doesn't mean anything. So you gotta always, always be careful. Always keep your phones with you, all this kind of stuff. Like don't leave your belongings into random places, open places by themselves. Little tricks like that. You can call it street smarts, right? Kind of like at the airport, like keep your belongings near you. Don't leave it there. Go to the restroom and then speak that you're gonna come back and either it's gonna get stolen or security is gonna think there's something there. They're gonna destroy the belongings. But yeah, be careful. Little tricks like that.
If you're traveling, you absolutely shouldn't have. I mean, if you can access it, then you can be coerced to access it. And if you brag about, like, oh, I've memorized all my keywords or something like that, I mean, wow, just don't. It seems all over the top. Like, I remember when I was thinking, yeah, I get security, but hey, I've only put like $3,000 or whatever into this account, I don't really care. When I get serious about this, well, that $3,000's now worth 700 and something thousand, and it's locked to that address and that account. So, lesson learned. Take it seriously, no matter how small the amount is today, because in just a couple of years,
Yeah, and again, like, just do your own research and be knowledgeable. If you're not a streamer and you never tell anybody in the world that you have crypto, right? And you want to memorize your seed phrase, then don't get hit in the head, don't get Alzheimer's. And, maybe that's a better security model for you because of some other reason, right? So
for one of your accounts, perhaps, yeah.
Sure. So it's always going to be up to the end user to know what's right for them and to appreciate like the nuance and the individual ideas. But the big idea here is like, you just got rich from magic internet money. Okay, time to take it seriously. Time to like do the work, right? So the best time to do the work with security is now.
Always.
Absolutely. And then once again, to sound like a broken record, because repetition is
Please.
key, do not take unnecessary risk. I don't care if you're super genius, super memory, don't take unnecessary risk. Redundancy and you know, no screenshots. So we spent a solid hour on that topic because it's just that important and probably more in the future. But
Oh
please,
wow.
take be very careful about that. And Maddie, we can even talk about, since we got Post Lord here too, what about Pulse Swap, and then the little will be a good topic to talk about that, because I want to talk about that. I want to talk about markets, because like I said, I won't be able to be here for the whole show. So I would love for us to dive into this topic, because I know the viewers are looking for that too. So here, everybody,
Unbait the click.
right? So I guess I could just kind of go ahead what I think, what I heard that, right? Because Richard is so smart, right? Just look at the timing of it, the timing of the tweet, right? We haven't even got our snapshot. Now we got this thing over here, which could be another sacrifice 2.0, because if you're smart, when this thing starts, right, you buy the Hex is so liquid that you can easily pump the price, increase your price, sacrifice value, just like we saw before. So Godwell would definitely run on that, which makes sense. But I think also bigger than most people imagine. I think this is kind of the play for like where exchanges are really going to ape it. Because exchanges love what? They love fees, right? They love to play the liquidity farm game and blah, blah, blah. So having something like that, is going to be key, because yes, we're going to have Uniswap forks, but you know, if Pulse Swap is something that obviously Richard supports or whatever, then there's a high chance that obviously the community, us, is going to catch a lot of traction. So you could be looking at a play where, just like similar coins and your farming coins have done in the past, so another money printer for us possibly. So for me, I just look at it like, I mean, on one hand, it could be just a duct tape token, but hey, another cool token you can own, that can potentially go up. Am I gonna put a lot of money? Yeah, maybe not, but it's definitely exciting to see, because we keep replacing some of the cool stuff that we need in terms of decentralized, like decentralized exchange, but also be able to create something that can create wealth for others around at the same time. So we're excited. What do you guys thoughts?
I'm just wondering who wants to explain what Pulse Swap is.
Or you could just be a host, right? I think the closest thing to it would be like kind of like a Uniswap fork, because it is a fork of PancakeSwap, right? So I'm guessing the token is gonna be used for, based on the tweet and how Richard explained it, right? When you do the liquidity farming stuff and then you get rewarded in tokens, chances are, Pulse Swap tokens, then it's to incentivize for you to come and provide the liquidity and play the bridging to be injecting capital onto Pulse Chain. Because if you have your Ethereum fork, whatever, and you don't care too much about Pulse Chain fork, but then now you have half the pair for free, and now you can earn this potential yield token called Pulse Swap, then that incentivizes you to come, do the bridging, get the other half for free, and then potentially earn that Pulse Swap token. You guys remember how and why UD token got listed so fast on the exchange? Because they were desperate, because they know the
Because
centralized.
Andreessen Horowitz backed it in order to entice the devs to create the duct tape token in the first place.
Exactly, definitely that too. So imagine something like that could be like a cool Trojan horse, where it's like it adds value, inject value into the Pulse chain beyond just the hexagons, because
I love
we're
that
gonna use
idea.
it. Yeah.
That's
So
brilliant, Kareem.
game theory.
Here in Gerardo's tweet, he summarizes what he expects to be here of what Pulse Swap will be, which is the premier decentralized exchange on the Pulse chain, the largest yield farm ever, a new Pulse Swap token. It'll be similar to the Pancake Swap or Sushi Swap model, which, as Kareem just said, was ripped off of Uniswap. It gives new utility to all of the ERC20s, backs value for the PRC20s, and it's a Richard Hart project, which will have a sacrifice phase that starts soon. How soon? Well, Richard alluded that maybe if Pulse was to launch, in whatever 6 to 8 weeks, I think he said that the sacrifice phase would be before launch. Is that right?
Yeah, he said
Yeah.
something around a few weeks. So whatever the date is, it says it will start a few weeks prior. Again, just kind of how we have with Pulse Chain. But what's amazing, again, shout out to Gerardo. Everybody should go like him. Shout out to everybody. My boy. Corey, yeah, career investor. Goodbye. Yeah. So shout out to Gerardo. Everybody should go like and retweet that post because he summarized it perfectly. And when you look at it in terms of token economics, right? Because this is Kwang Day, this is literally the last missing piece that no, I wouldn't say needed, but that just make Pulse Chain even more insane. Because number one, you got product market fit. Number two, you got, the hexagons because we're gonna be supported. That's our chain because guess what? Some of us who can't and stake on one chain, we're gonna be able to use Pulse Chain to get some money over there so we can then and stake on Ethereum if need be. So you get that. You get easy onboarding, lower fee. But then now, how do we bring more people onto the chain and be able to make the other counterparty ERC20 and PRC20 valuable? You needed a mechanism, and that will be the mechanism that will bring even more of the degen in because now it's free things on free things, right? You get something for free, and then you get something that most likely going to make free, and you give away of the exchange to come play as well because they allow liquidity, farming games, and fees and stuff like that. So everybody gets some, and the chain is going to do very well. And guess what? If Pulse Chain gets launched, gets listed on the exchange, then the Pulse Swap gets listed also, and it directly brings value to Hex as well. So, and Hex on Pulse. So when you look at
And
the
vice
game
versa.
theory as a whole, it's pretty genius. So shout out to the team for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Pulse Swap creates an environment that reminds me of that old movie. There's gold in them there hills, and then the whole. That's the kind of thing that brings the gold rush mentality kind of people into.
Yeah, but also fair warning, very important. Do not get it confused, right?
No,
Pulse Swap is not Pulse, and it's definitely not Hex. There's a reason why, Uni did cute, Uni did good, but Uni did not beat Hex. And Uni doesn't play like Hex. So don't get that twisted. It's going to be a nice little game.
Hexicans understand that, but everyone else who hasn't yet discovered Hex is...
Exactly.
Because it's a yield farmer's wet dream, really.
Yeah, I would be very clear here so people don't get misconstrued. I know what the main thing is. The main thing is always the main thing. What I'm excited about is to bring additional game theory to bring a new clientele, right?
Exactly.
We got the Mexicans, we got the Pulsicans, we got the DJs, we got the NFT, whatever people that are going to go do that. And now we even got the people who like anything related to the liquidity farming and all that kind of stuff, yield farming. So now you're getting the whole mixed.
Yep, that'll be really interesting. And there's just going to be so many new opportunities for everybody of every kind of interest to get into, It's just, it's going to have it all.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's the people who believe in Richard and the people who believe in Hex who are going to do the best because everybody else is going to be repelled, right, by the false narratives that the crypto media is pumping out. And so this is, again, I believe it's an opportunity for people. I've onboarded a number of people into Hex that missed Pulse because I just onboarded them. And so, in order for people to still, and what is it? Well, with the Pulse sacrifice, I encourage people even to put $20 or $50 into it. It doesn't have to be an insane amount of money that you put into these things in order to have more skin in the game and then want to pay more attention to what happens in the community, to learn more about Hex, right? And Pulse and Pulse Swap now. It's I think it's funny that that Richard, he admitted today what I suspected, which was that he forgot to get the domain name before he announced the name. And you have to remember that there are a lot of degenerate people such as myself who FOMO into buying up domain names whenever Richard speaks. And so those of us, who did that, right? Now we feel bad.
Got us back.
Now we feel bad because we ruined it for the entire community. And so sorry about that, guys. My bad.
No,
I didn't get the .com. Let's be clear. I didn't get the .com. I think somebody already had it, but basically that's the idea is it's kind of funny that because Richard had so many domain names that he, he didn't realize he didn't have Pulse Swap, but
yeah, that's not a mistake he's potentially ever made before. So yeah. Anyway, it'll be fine.
Well, and it's part of the origin story of where the name Hex came from, right? We know where the name Pulse came from, and this is a family show, although it's geared towards OGs. But yeah, at the end of the day, like, we can't speak of that because it's inappropriate. But the name of Hex came from a very appropriate place, right? Which is that Richard had bought every domain name he could think of with Bitcoin blank. So Bitcoin, red, green, blue, Hex, Hexagon, he had probably over 100 different Bitcoin domain names with Bitcoin and then something else in it. And he was looking over his list one day and saw bitcoinhex.com and decided to go with that as the name of his project.
That's lit. Maddie, quick announcement. We're about to get kicked out of the place here, so I'll be on soon. But I have a surprise guest for you and for everybody. Ready? Bang, bang, bang. Look at who's here.
Mark with the Hex again, folks.
Hey!
Love everyone. Pleasure.
New York City in the house.
All day, gotta represent, guys. I'm happy everybody's here. It's been a blast. This meetup was phenomenal. Cream killed it. Patrick killed it. Everybody killed it. Much love to everyone. See you guys soon.
Hey, great stream with the NFL player earlier.
Oh, thanks, man. More to come, man. More to come, man. We're gonna keep on doing this.
I was telling him he looks good on camera. You should do that more often.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll get you on call game too. We'll do something, man, for sure.
I can't wait. All right, guys, we gotta go. Let's see you later.
So, yeah, I apologize again. We're about to get kicked out. Once we get on the street, it's gonna be like super, super loud. But yeah, I mean, the future is definitely bright, to say the least. And as long as people are just aware of what they own, and they play the long-term game, and they play the security game, then they're just gonna be set for life. You know what I mean? So that's the main thing. And Maddie, if I may, I wanted to talk briefly a little bit about just market overall, because I wanted to give that perspective at least for people. And actually, Post-Law, I want to hear what you have to say about that as well. I'll probably be on mute, and I'll still be listening. I'm just gonna be just outside. It's just I won't be able to talk. It's gonna be so loud. Okay.
There's some few more statistics just to let people know. There are more statistics I have about the Pulse Swap situation, and we also are going to explain that there's crazy stuff happening here on Thursday for Hex's birthday, and we'll cover that more. Let's have Karim check in here. Did you want to do a few minutes about macro before we go to all that?
But definitely, Maddie's absolutely right. This week we got a surprise for you guys. I mean, it's Hex birthday, so definitely busy stuff going on, and onboarding as well. But overall, I think it's a big deal. Maddie, if you can please just pull out the chart for me, just a Bitcoin chart, because I'm gonna briefly that and then the DXY, because it's very, very important. Again, I'm not a trader, but I understand chart, and especially on the macro side, on the monthly chart, because the DXY, which is the dollar index, as you guys know, Coin Game fan, has been rising fast.
I think Pulse Lord has mad charting skills. I don't even know what website to go to.
Oh,
no,
okay.
I could do it. Pulse Lord's on his phone, so that's not going to
go
so well for him.
Yeah, or if you pull up.
So just TradingView.
Yeah, TradingView.
I'll bring it up. Stand by.
And then what I thought.
Oh, wow. Okay, and the new name in Kareem's honor is going to be scarfswap.io.
Oh my goodness! Be careful, Maddie. Watch out! Somebody's going to go buy the URL. Be careful.
Already gone.
I wouldn't be surprised if I find myself as an NFT sometime soon. I mean, people are crazy, but hey, I won't be buying them though, for sure. But
are you gonna buy it yourself?
No.
I would buy myself.
I'll look at it for fun. My favorite one is the meme of the Tyrannosaurus Rex, with my face and then the scarf. I explained that. She put that. That was funny. But yeah, in all seriousness. So GXY has been rising for a while. Dollar index strengthening. I've been tweeting about it for a while, and then since the past couple of weeks, especially last week. And then again, lo and behold, right, we get that BS variant, Omicron. Maddie, you want to do something funny?
Yes.
The Omicron thing. If you shuffle the words, guys, I forget the exact thing, but
Omicron is an anagram for moron. Is that what you're
yes,
gonna say?
moronic.
Yeah, that's too political for this show.
I mean, yeah, okay, but that was just kind of funny. But the funny thing I was going to do was that
I better not
when you
say
see
it
the-
then.
yeah, when you see the DXY rise, like I always say, is that something is happening. Big money knows something that you don't know, and they know something and they're going risk off. So you need to go risk off. And why it's important is because historically, when that happened, it's a very, very bullish for Hex because again, Bitcoin gets spanked. Lo and behold, since that 69K, we got hit. Similar thing. Now, when you look at the chart, when you look at the month of December, the joke with Plan B, right? Not getting the 96K, which is also funny, and you see all the macro, all the things that's going on for us, all the things that's going on historically for Hex in December. If you look at last year, what we typically do, so it's kind of like the stars are getting aligned. You want to be in position. You want to be prepared. You got snapshots. You got potentially sacrifice part two with the full swap. Now is the time to stay disciplined because Christmas can be very, very nice and New Year's Eve as well for you if you let it to be. If you decide to be wise and not just smart and then overtrade and murder your account and all that kind of stuff and staying disciplined because that's why it's very, very important. So, and now, who knows, we might even get more shut down. We might get a little version two of, what has happened before COVID because Jerome Powell of the Federal Reserve has been reelected. So, no, he's safe now. He knows he has 4 more years. So he's going to continue to do what he has done before, which is continue to strengthen the dollar because, people complain about inflation being so high. That gives them the excuse to tighten up even more and more and more. So you want to be prepared. You want to, obviously know that we have great news coming along, but we have watched this movie before. The same things are happening again. So, yeah, look at that. Because, fun fact, the same time when this crash happened for Bitcoin, the dollar index almost did an all-time high. So stay where you are here roughly, right? And then watch this. FutureUs, can you pull up the dollar index, please? Around that same time last year. I'm gonna show something really fascinating.
So 2020. What do I?
So you go to the DXY chart, and then you're gonna pull up, and then it's going to be basically kind of like March of last year during the COVID dip stuff.
Okay, so I'll bring that up on the same thing.
Because for those who are new, I know obviously our Congress crew is very well versed, so they know. But around that same time, the dollar index,
right on March there.
Exactly. Because and that's when because those are systemic events because they kind of work in opposite. So because it's a balance of currency, when the dollar strengthens so fast, it exerts pressure on the other one. So it's kind of like you're selling the riskier assets to go to the thing that's strengthening. So the reason why it's important is because when you zoom out on the DXY chart, you look at the level where we were during that systemic risk. We're not too far off from that. You know what I mean? If you zoom out and you look at where we are, you see it's cooling off a little bit, but the moment it goes to like it's already in the 96 plus when it crossed 97 and above because it's in a strong uptrend. You got to understand how when we talk about the plumbing. Imagine the pressure pipes are rising. We're at the level where it was the bottom of that wick. If the DXY rise to that point, you cannot see from my phone, but what was the level? Was it 104, 103? What is it on the DXY?
Yeah, about 103.
103. So just for people to understand, it's massive because this is a multi-trillion-dollar market. Again, biggest in the world, the bond market, and then quadrillion if you add the derivatives and stuff. So the fact that it's moving those percentages is a big deal. It's trillions of dollars, and it's already at the level of that bottom of that wick from doing that systemic event. So don't be surprised if we get crossed again 97, 98, and then you start to see crack market. And I'm talking about all market. I'm talking about S&P and whatever. Obviously Bitcoin as well. And all that to say, because we always talk about macro, all that to say we're perfectly positioned, especially for Hex, because if you go back during that same time for Hex, that's also when we had massive pumps. So we're all ready. Big money is ready. They're just ready to drop the shoe. You know what I mean? Winter time, like the day before. Be prepared. Be wise. We have great news coming along the way. But more importantly, Hex going to do what Hex going to do. And the macro environment is in our favor because we're built to last. So that's the main thing I really wanted to make sure I talk about today, which was a continuation of last week. because a lot of things that we talked about happened. So, and Hex is getting ready to do that W pattern, basically doing the same pattern that the DXY has done. And I tweeted about that too. And W's are bullish patterns. If you look after big payday, we did a similar thing. If you look last year, right around December, how December treat us usually pretty well. So yeah, go back to what was the COVID dip for the Hex price. See right around April 2020?
2020, yeah.
It's literally right after that where we started to pump hard, and then Godwell came in. So imagine stuff plays out similarly, right? Again, past performance doesn't guarantee future, but it tends to rhyme, right? So you're looking at a run up like that, because when everything goes bad and the NFTs and whatever start going to zero, the thing that people run to is fixed product. The same way people run to the bond market. It's shitty yield, but they're looking for that safety. So in the crypto space, Hex can act as a safety. So because it's decorrelated. And yeah, get ready for Richard tweeting about the floor is lava, which is one of my favorite tweets from him.
So that was 2,500% over a couple of months. That was epic.
Yeah, we do that, man. Multiple dollars. So looking forward for that. So, but yeah. So yeah, possible. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on what I just said. Because since you're happy as a guest.
I love it. I love it. You know what? I've never actually, for those of you who don't know, I've never actually spoken with any of these gentlemen. I'm honored to be on screen with you guys. You're just great.
I'm always honored to be on screen. Yes, it's good to say hello.
Yeah, great guys, and pivotal in my journey. And I'm a much different chart guy than most. I never planned on teaching anybody anything or trying to share. I just just looking out for me, like most probably were or are. And so it's been a little bit of a strange process and journey deciding what I want to share, what I want to do. But as far as Hex goes, I mean, if you guys want to know the truth, my long-term outlook is I got it from Wales only. Without him spending the time that he did and the hours he did with you guys. But so it's really, Karim, Maddie, and Wales who were there to get the information to me when I was ready to finally spend enough time to make it through a whole stream and figure out what it was I didn't understand about Hex. But in the first place, I didn't sell because mainly Karim and Wales confidently saying, if you're going to sell, you don't know what it is. And I had to admit that was true, and so, and you guys remember, I've been here since the beginning. I just didn't quite get it until I thought about selling, and then decided to investigate all the way and understand all the way first. And that's when, these guys are in such a big place in my heart, because it wasn't long after that is life changing, because I didn't sell when it would have been, looked like a good time to sell. A lot of times, most cryptos, when they pump to the moon, you're like, I got to be dumb right now. I watched it go straight up. But
after the 7th 2x in a row, you're like, okay, now it's a good time to sell. No.
But at the same time, it's it's different, and it's a new asset. And so, what I will say on long-term macro, Kareem, what I got to add is I had a lot of shit coins, not a lot, but I've had enough. And I held them on, I can't even remember what exchange it is right now, but I had them on some exchange. And, people, Richard's talked about this, when the market, people don't know yet, when the market, if the market drops 90% for anything you're holding, you're going to feel something you ain't never felt before, because that last 10%, as Richard pointed out, it's a 50% cut from where you're already sick. You're already sick at 80% loss. But that extra 10, boy, it'll turn an account into something that's not worth enough money for you to even send it somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And so take an account that I had like 3 cryptos and it cost me $300, and it's down to where it wasn't even worth sending. And so then 4 years later, I go back and look after being told that all these cryptos, 99% are going to go to zero. That turned out to be not true, you guys. There's a lot of them around that really don't have much of a purpose or point that are doing well today. And I went back into that account 3 years later and was like, oh, look, it's worth $1,000. I'm going to take it out. So my point just being that you know, and to crush the thought of Hex not working out. I mean, why wouldn't it? Telcoin is working out, or whatever it was I was holding. I don't even know what it does, but it survived, you know. So, you know, that's that. And then Richard just pointed out that these assets are all growing, you know, and whales, because of the ways that it works. And if you want to dive in to learn how these things work, they're growing. Now, you couple those two things with the fact that Hex has a purpose and a reason, and it works fantastically, and is genius, and he did it better than he needed to, honestly, to be great. And so, you know, I'm just grateful he thought of all the things he did, and he didn't rush it to market. But those things alone is all you really need to know to have confidence in this. I mean, I tell people all the time that haven't maybe done enough research. So, like, look, we've just talked about your 5 holdings. None of them are earning you more of them. You're not gaining in any more. None of them. You know, like, that's just the one thing I'm going to say real quick. I'm like, none of your V chain is not growing. It's not. You know, to a V chain fan or whoever I'll be talking to. And I mean, what do you got to say? I mean, what else is there to know? You know, and most of those people,
It's
they
not
don't
spawning new V chain either.
Yeah.
Right.
And and most of them, what's going on, Mike Mac? Most of those people. Then my next question will be: so what's your strategy when plan to sell? And the crazy part is they don't have that. And I feel so bad in that moment, because I'm like, dude, you're headed for wreck town. You're gonna go through all these emotions you don't need to, unless you come up with a plan right now. You know what I mean? And most people aren't ready to, oddly enough. And I'll try to help them. Like, well, I could tell you a couple things you could do, but you know, you can't. It's hard. It's hard to let people live vicariously through you if they don't want to. You know, because some people, myself included, you know, we want to learn lessons the hard way a lot of times, and sometimes I do it knowing I'm doing it, but at least know that you're doing it, you know, and so that you can extract that lesson the best you can. My phone's about to die. I'm gonna hop off and grab a cord real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. And again, I appreciate him sharing that wisdom, because that's very important, especially for somebody that's been here since the beginning. You know what I mean? And again, thanks for the kind words. We appreciate. This is why we do what we do, because a lot of those people, not only they lose their money, they lose their time, opportunity costs that you could have just, you know, avoid. Because like Richard said it best too, right? Only 2 people in crypto make the mad gains, which is what most people want, because that's where you get the financial freedom, right? Token founder or long-term holder. And when you find something that has, you know, the right founder, product market fit, all the other good stuff, plus long-term viability, because again, it's a recurring purchase, you're building wealth, and you're getting interest while you're waiting. I mean, it really is a no-brainer. It doesn't get any better than that. It has all the key fundamentals that you need, plus the timing, plus what's going on in the world, and the fact that, let's not forget, like, fixed product is needed in the world, and we have the best yield, and we are desperate times where some other places, not only it's bad, it's negative. I mean, it's the biggest asset class, it's the biggest market, and it's the biggest use case, in my opinion. So, and I'm glad, you know, people like Post Laws are able to see that. And, you know, it humbles me in a way, because, you know, sometimes, right, Maddie, we say things, and we do wonder, like, are people actually fully paying attention? And it's good to see that they do. And then, you know, like today, I met a lot of new people face to face that, you know, hey, I heard you on stream and this and that. And then not only they're getting educated, they're getting expert, and then they're thanking me, and they're bringing their friends too. So thank you so much, Post Law, for sharing that. I really appreciate it. Guys, I'm literally there. I really am about to get kicked out. The cleaning crew is here. Thanks for being here, Post Lord. Please continue the show. I will continue to watch, but in the background, Maddie, on the YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay?
Awesome. Thanks, Karim.
All right. Peace out, guys. Love you.
See ya.
The other thing that I wanted to say while we're on the topic of Karim and him being in New York is that I found out today that we're going to have exclusive coverage of the Hex birthday party here on this channel for the New York party that's being hosted by Kryptosparbach and the US Road Tour team. And so that's going to be happening on Thursday here for the Hex 2nd birthday party. And there's also going to be an event in London that's happening. I have decided to, even though it would be more fun for me to go in person, I'm gonna stay home and man the online part of it all and make sure that everybody can be included to be able to come on the show, and so we can have a proper celebration worldwide.
Cool.
I get excited to stream on special occasions, especially if it's hex related. Oh yeah,
That's what the smiles are about.
that's right.
Right.
I do have something that we could look at if you guys want to look at some charts.
Sure.
Absolutely. I also wanted to, Pulse Lord, I think I messaged you. I just wanted to double check. Like, is it okay if I use one of your songs for something that promotes hex?
Yeah, anybody wants to use my music, you're more than welcome to. It's 100% just to add more wow to anybody who hasn't come into our community yet. It's amazing. The music we've got is unbelievable to me, and I just get a kick out of all of it. When I DJ Cryptomatic stuff is just awesome, and I'll send it to my brother, and it might not be cool to people that aren't into hex, but
we got the best DJs in all of crypto. Oh wait, we got the only DJs in all of crypto. It's music creators. Yeah.
Let's be clear. I am a huge fan of Pulse Lord. He and Freddie Quotes have made my favorite songs. Corey the Investor, like everybody. I'm such a fan that I created a playlist here on this YouTube channel, and then I gave it the domain name hexcds.com, plural, hexcds.com. And so anybody can go, and the name of the playlist is called Now That's What I Call Hex Volume 1. And,
awesome.
And there's about 30 songs on there. There's 30 songs on there from various artists. Now, because I have a new Hex cameo coming out, and last week I said it would be out already, but I've been working on this one for like a month or two, okay? And it's the greatest one so far, and so I'm glad that Pulse Lord is okay with me using the music, because one of his songs is like the perfect soundtrack for it, so I'm really excited.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, that's it. It would be... It would be hard for any community to pay for the individuals that this community has offering up their time. You guys wouldn't want that bill. You wouldn't want that bill. Me, Maddie, and FutureUs, we're going to bill you.
That's right. Yes. That's right.
But it is really cool because, I'm more than happy. It's awesome. If I can make something that can you can easily use to accent what you've got going on. It's great.
I'm going to drop the link again so everybody can subscribe to Pulse Lord. He has a combination of creating music and awesome raps and melodies related to hex, and also doing charting. So it's a good channel to be subscribed to.
Has anybody ever wondered how it was that carbon ended up being element number 6 and it just so happens to be like a hexagon in its natural crystalline state? Just asking. Back to your program.
And we're back. Oh, there were some numbers I wanted to go over with the sacrifice for Pulse Swap, and then we can get into more of the charts that Pulse Lord has. Pulse Lord, you can, because the audio wasn't working on your computer, you could still join with your I think you could still join on StreamYard.
Yeah, you can have multiple devices all joined at the same time, and you can share the screen on that one, but keep the phone going for the audio.
I just won't add the duplicate image of you. But for now, let's see. I'm sharing my screen, showing people your YouTube page, and then I've got some bookmarks here. We already went over this one, which is what Gerardo summarized, is what Richard announced that would be called Pulse Swap. And just to review, that's the premier DEX on Pulse Chain, largest yield farm ever. A new Pulse Swap token follows the Pancake Swap and Sushi Swap model, gives new utility for all ERC20s and backs value for PRC20s. It's a Richard Hartwin project. I wanted to remind the community, I guess, that this has always been in the discussion of the game theory design of Pulse.
Yeah.
So in the early days when it was being discussed, like what is going to happen with Pulse, we knew that Pulse Swap was possibly or probably going to be in the design because it's a model that works. It's a model that's been used on other chains. It's been tested. The code is already developed. And so when we heard Richard say this week that the code is already finished and this is going to be another way that people who believe in the products that he launches and believe that being early in the products that he launches is a good thing, then that's going to be an opportunity for people who want to get in on it. As Karim reminded us, it's not the same as Hex. It's not the same as Pulse, but it is something of interest. So I went ahead and I did some surveys. I don't think that's the right screen. Let me see. So this is a survey showing how many people 3 weeks ago asking if people sacrificed. It's like oddly worded, so try to look over that. But 994 people voted, and of the people who voted, only 9% did not sacrifice. So what, 91% sacrificed, and then of those people, half are going to hold on to it. 45%, right, are sacrificed, but they still want more Pulse because they realize that it's deflationary and has a huge use case, and they see the Telegram channel growing. And then 37%, which seems pretty high to me, but 37% 3 weeks ago were interested in learning more about liquid loans. This is not an endorsement of liquid loans, but it's a cool idea that they have. So,
I have to apologize too, Maddie. I abstained from voting on this one because it didn't have the right answer for me, which was, have you forgotten that you sacrifice for Pulse?
Correct. Yes.
I literally do quite often.
Some people, 8 people,
thousands of dollars.
8% of people were already keen on dumping on the market, which not cool, guys, but just kidding, because you can do whatever you want.
Hey, hook us up. I'll buy.
So then here's a new poll that was just started 2 days ago. And this is asking if people will sacrifice anything for Richard Hart's Pulse Swap token. Already the most voted on question ever on this channel. And you can reach these surveys by going to youtube.com/MaddieAllin/community. And on the community tab there, you can vote on all the past surveys, I believe. There's no end date for them. Already 1,100 people have voted on this question. 47% said yes, a little. They will sacrifice for Pulse Swap. 28% want to sacrifice a lot. Only 7% of people said no, they don't want to sacrifice anything for Pulse Swap. 10% are not sure yet, and 9% just wanted to see the results. What do you guys think of these numbers?
Okay, cool. Statistics. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, people are interested. That's awesome. 1,100. Yes. I think the 1.1 thousand votes is probably the most interesting statistic there to me. But,
I think so too.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it shows how many people are engaged in this channel, only having 5,000, 5,500 subscribers, somewhere in there. And that's incredible. And I think it speaks to something that Richard touched on a little bit, which is just the power of the Hex community is still, it's still underappreciated. As a group, we are people who are all in the same boat. We are stakeholders in our own future and also want to see the community thrive. We all have an incentive. So we're all kind of like little validator nodes, right? And we're mining the truth, which the truth is that being able to hold yourself accountable with Hex, that's got a really strong use case and is a better store of value probably than anything else around. And it's really hard to explain to people, especially in the degenerate world of the fiat dollars and investing, where people are punished for saving and rewarded/robbed for gambling, and nobody can get ahead, right? So this is a whole new mentality, being in the saving mindset. And because normally when people save, they get robbed from inflation. And so economists, they criticize people who are saving for their future, saying that people are just too stupid to plan for their retirement. But in reality, people know even subconsciously that they're getting robbed by inflation.
Let's just quickly rewind on that for anyone who hasn't heard it. That's a legitimate fact. A couple of dudes won a legit Nobel Prize
Yes.
for doing an economic study where they concluded
Yes.
that the masses are basically, paraphrasing, too stupid.
Yes.
or not smart enough to set up their own savings investment thing for retirement and all that, and therefore we need to come up with ways to do it for them. A Nobel Prize.
Yeah, it was Richard,
Just saying.
a Thaler, and the other guy. Yeah, and they get high on their own farts, okay? They are such ivory tower academic assholes that they adore themselves so much.
I know how they got up
into the mirror.
I know how they got into the ivory tower up the top too. Yeah, they also eat soap. And so when you fart, you can fly up in a bubble. Right?
It is so this is a legit Nobel Prize in economics, right? Everybody in psychology bows down to them, right? Because they have deduced something that isn't even correct, right? But it's a cool story for economists because that gives economists more of a job, right? And their conclusion, right, was that they need to be that because people aren't smart enough to invest for themselves, that we need centralized retirement accounts for everybody, where the people are giving up control to the people who are abusing power in the first place. So their solution was not even a good one.
But it turns out they were wrong anyway. It turns out you can just print more money. You're golden, right? Anyway,
and so Hex is directly fighting this problem, right? Because the problem is inflation. It's not that the people are stupid. Inflation is ruining the monetary environment, which causes people to act in ways that aren't even good. It's not even good for yourself. Right? When you have to choose between, do you want to spend your money now or do you want to buy less in the future? People will do the right thing, which is to buy more now because future prices go up because inflation is paid to central bankers and corporate bailouts and God knows what else, right? Instead of being paid to the people who are saving. And so Hex creates a completely new model than what exists now because it pays inflation to the people who are saving, and that incentivizes saving instead of punishing saving. And this, I believe, will change human psychology because right now, living in a fiat world where you're getting robbed by, the government subconsciously, you're going to blame your neighbor, you're going to get divisive on every issue because of the pain that's continuing to go on because your monetary environment is not allowing you to save for the future. When you take away the fundamental human right of saving for the future, that's really when you doom people and cause them to become a worse version of themselves. And so today, Richard was, he was talking about like, well, what might be the right political statement for pulse swap, because the political statement when it came to Pulse was that free speech and everything, and he was postulating, well, maybe maybe the right of movement when it comes to these lockdowns, maybe that would be a little bit too political of a political statement to be using for Pulse swap. But I think the people have a fundamental right to save for their future. I think that is a pretty cool idea that could be he could use
to accrue gains. Yeah,
to not be robbed by inflation. People having the right to save for their future self.
You sort of can't say save for the future anymore because what does that mean? It means holding money in a bank, which means you're going backwards. So who wants to do that? We can't even really use the phrase anymore. It's been broken. Pay
my future self.
Pay my future self.
Time like Hex.
Any of those things. Just saving never made a lot of sense to me, even when it was a good idea. But Hex makes a lot of sense to me because I still don't get saving to some degree, but I understand not spending. And that's working for me, so I think I'm going to be all right.
Yeah, it's we're
Like,
really
seriously.
blessed to have a mechanism to be able to save ourselves and from government inflation when we use Hex in the way it was designed. It looks like Pulse Lord's phone died, so he'll be back in a minute.
Yeah. Mind blown.
Yeah. So
can't choose which ones of the things that are racing through my mind to rat on about. So please continue.
I'm glad that you picked up on the economics thing, because that's really an important way, I think, to understand and to empathize with people in the world. Like, if we realize that everybody is born into this fiat slavery where you are being robbed constantly by more money creation, where your purchasing power is getting diluted, even though technology is bringing us into a more abundant world. We've got the centralized powers ruining all that. And yeah, I think it was Richard or somebody pointed out, even in his, I think it's his best stream of all time, 2 or 3 streams ago with the poker player. That's a 2-hour thing that I'm going to listen to several times and send to everybody I know, because he really covered everything. One of the points that he made of the insane number of awesome points he made was that the dollar not being backed by gold is an experiment that's only been going on since the Nixon shock, which was exactly 50 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
most people alive today just believe that's the way it's always been. It's or haven't thought about it.
Yeah.
It's funny that it's only 50 years. So it's just a couple of years older than I am. Actually, if it's exactly 50 years, then I was 1 year old when it happened. So it's all I've ever known, this fiat system.
Yeah.
And I certainly always assumed that ever since printed money was a thing, that's how it worked, like way back.
Yes.
But fractional reserves and all that kind of thing. And we were basically taught that in school, about how the original banks were the metalsmiths, because they had access to the big heavy iron boxes that came to be called safes and blah, blah, blah. And then they started the whole fractional reserve thing. And I just thought it was that way from the get-go. But even then it was backed by gold or precious metals or something or other. So only 50 years.
Yeah. It was 71, I guess. And somebody's asking, do we know if Staker App is going to support the sacrifice for the farming token Pulse Swap? That's not going to be called Pulse Swap because I accidentally registered too many domain names with that. We don't know yet. That would be a great question for us to get the answer to for next week on the show, because I know that Karim works for Staker App, and they might answer it on the Staker show on Sunday.
Yeah, it's an interesting question to ponder too, because Staker App being, well, they did the pulse chain swap, didn't they? Even though it's really about staking for Hex. So yeah, I don't know. That'll be interesting. I can't even speculate, which is rare for me.
Yeah, I mean, because Staker App, they're not going to support like sacrificing for shit coins. But if it's a Richard Hart project, I would guess yes.
Yeah, that would be my guess. Yeah, but hey, yeah.
And Pulsicano, who I met on the U.S. road tour, is explaining. I'm not sure what the context is because I haven't been reading all the comments as we've been discussing things. But life is more than just about money, and that's why we're doing the new theme of Hex therapy being healthy relationships, so that we can answer those questions and we can explore those topics that go beyond Hex and beyond money, but are still relevant.
I mean, money's supposed to be just an means to an end. You know, it's supposed to be a system to make it more convenient to transfer value back and forth and around the place. It's not supposed to really be I need this to survive. How do I get more? I mean, it's obvious that kind of overlaps, but when you shouldn't have to worry about it so much. It's just supposed to be a language, a value transfer mechanism, but it gets co-opted, of course, for all kinds of things. And if only someone could create some kind of a system where it couldn't be co-opted and it always worked the same way forever and ever. Yeah. That's a six-sided question right there.
Yes. I don't think it's gonna be called. Okay. Yeah.
We should call it carbon. Because the six.
Rug swap. Probably not a good name, right? But accurate, right?
Yeah, good one.
Oh, that reminds me. More good news. So last week when we had Ruth, the quant/dev person on the show, that was super popular. And so they'll be coming back on. I talked to them today, and they're preparing more materials for us to learn even more about bridging and all things pulse chain related. And so that's really exciting, because I know that this audience, being interested in advanced topics and knowing that I will do my best not to let you down in exploring and expanding our knowledge here of the hex and crypto space.
Very good.
Oh, and that's related to like rug swap, because there may not be any solutions for bridging that are trustless, and but we're gonna see if there are.
There is a solution to that overall problem, though, which probably won't eventuate. But in a world where pulse chain became the only chain that anyone cared about, bridging would no longer be required, and so the issue would be moot. I'm just saying.
Yeah. FutureUs and I had like
I am delusional.
FutureUs and I had like a super long discussion about bridging whenever I had my concussion, and I don't know that we got anywhere, but
we discovered a few things that probably wouldn't work.
Correct.
Oh dear. Oh, you Pulse Lord. Technical difficulties. Maybe the internet went down there. Or maybe you got a really good idea for a new song and it just couldn't wait while we were
I hope
waiting
so.
on. Yeah.
I hope so. So do I have any other survey questions here?
I don't know, do you?
I think so. I think I had one that was closer to when the actual sacrifice phase happened.
Concussion swap. I was just about to say I used to remember these things for Maddie, but then I went and knocked myself out and lost all my memory as well. Yeah.
I think domain names can't be gifted or sold in the first 3 months on some websites. So
I think
that
I
sucks.
think all the US-based TLDs are like that. I think. Doesn't mean you can't give someone access to use them though. They just can't own them.
Can it be to where it wouldn't be a security flaw for him?
Well, you'd have to have some kind of trust relationship between him and his bodyguards, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I used myself as collateral and like locked myself in Richard's basement or something, then
something like that, yeah.
Then he could use the domain names that I accidentally registered
securely, yeah.
That would have been perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. I will probably not suggest that, but
well, you should definitely let him know that you have them, cause
okay.
Yeah, because he may not know that a hexagon even has them.
I don't want to make him mad, but listen, I was just doing what he taught us how to do, which is come up with cool brand names and shit, you know?
Yeah.
If you go back to Richard's early stuff, you will see. All right, and I don't mind like dropping more important alpha here.
How can he be mad though? Before you get into that,
Listen,
I mean,
Richard
he's
gets
saving
mad.
his
First of
ass.
all, Richard gets mad at hexagons who have shitty brand names. Okay, and I'm not going to start any rivalries, but I'm just going to speak to it in general. I can tell. Okay, I can tell because Richard covered it, and so he knows who his true fans are and not. He knows who put in their time to get educated on the shit that he has so much knowledge, and for him to live stream it all and then for people to not go back and watch the original videos, you're at a huge disadvantage because you just showed yourself. You showed that you didn't listen to on multiple streams. He educated. That's how I got better at making brand names, and I put a lot of time into all the names that I do, the domain names. I've learned a lot, and I think it's really cool. Now that's not for everybody, but the point is,
yes, but not the .com. Just answering somebody in chat there. The point is,
the point is that Richard is, he's like a little bit OCD in a good way about the value, or it's not even OCD. It's just
like when you know there's a better way, and you've been talking about it for however long, and people aren't doing it the better way. It must be frustrating for anyone.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, actually, we have that as an issue around here domestically sometimes when there's a better way. Never mind, let's not get into that. Maybe I can come on V2 and we can talk about relationships, and we can get into when there's a better way to do things that only one person in the partnership seems to care about. That could be an interesting topic, perhaps, maybe, or not.
Yeah.
It's not very common, I don't think, but yeah.
Oh, when one person's right and the other person's wrong in a relationship.
Well, when there's a mathematically demonstrable, provable method of doing something that's more efficient, takes less energy, gets the job done better, makes people happier, and you've showed it like a zillion times, but it just never gets done that way. It's tricky. I think that's what Richard's dealing with, right? It's like, how many times I got to tell you the same thing? In fact, I think I hear him say that quite a lot. How many times I got to say this? How many times I got to say this? Yay! Boy, I was totally running out of things to ramble about there. That's saying something.
He's a man. My phone's struggling because it's so low. We'll see if it stays on. I got a little bit better charger on it, so we can continue on with whatever you want to.
So I've got...
You got the charts, FutureUs?
Did you wanna do it on your computer or?
You can pull it up. I just use simple stuff, so I mean, just whatever I'm gonna talk about is gonna be easily accessible by anybody.
Okay, well, I think I'm in anybody. I'll give it a go.
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, I just pull up weekly RSI and let's take a look at it.
For Hex.
Yep. Hex USDC. Or that's what I like to use. USDT is weird to me.
Oh yeah, I don't. Yeah. Let me just Chrome tab.
Today is also the day that you get 14 pulse points per dollar if you're still sacrificing.
Oh.
So wasn't the original like 10,000 pulse points per dollar or something stupid like that?
Just let me get organized here. I got to try to put this in a way that it shows up so people can see stuff by making.
And for those of you that don't know me, I'm not super technical. I'm kind of like a cook. I don't measure all the ingredients. I just whip it out.
Yeah.
So again, it's kind of hard to teach that strategy, but I do use some simple things, and because of majority of it is emotion and emotion control, and so because of that, that's just how I do it. I'm more of an artist than I am mathematician by a long shot.
Well, markets are much more of a black art than a science, so you might be in just the right place.
So if we have somebody in the chat saying that read-only file for the sacrifice credits has been added to the GitLab. How do we see that? That sounds cool.
You'd probably go to gitlab.com.
/pulsechaincom.
We'll
get to it.
Changing the topic on us, but yeah.
Sorry, we'll get to it.
Yeah. So I have got, if you want to share that up, I've got, this is...
Got it.
Yeah, we probably don't want... Oh, let's try to keep it nice and simple here. Get rid of all of that.
Concussion swap.
Yeah, you just saw that. Yeah. All right, what kind of time frame? I'm on the daily here. What kind of time frame do you want?
Hit up the weekly.
Let's go to the weekly, my favorite time frame. All right. And there's your RSI down the bottom.
Well, yeah. Notice that.
Yeah, ain't that good? It's kind of bottomed out.
If you look in the past, right there is pretty good places to buy in it. You know, when I looked at this around September 20th, I was like, you guys, this freaks me out. You know, the whole thing, majority of the time, we've never even been down much lower than we are now on this chart. You know, I mean,
yeah, we're definitely oversold.
So for those looking for some signs in the macro, you know, the weekly and the 2-day looks pretty good too. You know, it shows you a pretty good pattern.
I've forgotten how to do that. 2-day, I got to go to. What do? I press D? No. There's a way to do custom times. I can't remember how to do it in TradingView.
Yeah, you.
Is it enter? No.
I think at the very bottom you can. There's this when you pull down the menu for the days and time, or the time frames at the very bottom, it looks like you can add. Or no, I'm sorry. Off to the right, there's little arrows of each. You know, from hours, minutes, days. There's a little arrow off to the right.
I'm not seeing it. I'm only getting the favoriting, unless it's this one. No. I used to do this fairly frequently. I absolutely cannot remember.
Is it only showing you the 1-day option?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now go to the right there, just to the right a little bit, up.
That's just opening and closing.
Oh, it's not giving it to you. Okay.
Yeah, and this is just favorites.
Yeah, whatever. It don't look that much different than the 1-day. It just it don't look that much different. It's just just shows you how, you know, even the 1-day, you know, we've been at this level on this chart. This is the third time over a year and a half, you know. And so we just came from that level. I'm sorry. We were just, you know, for the third time we came up off of it.
Yep.
Charts look good to me. This is you know, in the courses I took, you know, one of the very first things is don't invest in too many different assets because your brain can't handle it, and you'll stretch yourself too thin, and then you'll miss buys and sells if you're wanting to catch them. And then it was make sure that the product makes sense to you. If you read like a basic description and you can't understand how that's supposed to generate money for people, it's promise coin. You know, it's got to make sense. Like Hex, it's done and it makes sense. And then from there, he's like, you're looking for an asset that's 50% pulled back from its top and holding support. You guys know anything like that right now? Looks like Hex to me. It's perfect.
Yeah.
It's perfect. We're sitting right on our support from our previous, you know.
If you zoom out like this, so this is a daily, and if you zoom out enough so that all the red and green candles just sort of become a blur, and that's why I have this particular chart by default in black and white, so I don't get distracted by the greens and reds. Even just the simple shape over time can tell you quite a bit. Like when you see a curve curving this way, right? I guess anti-clockwise as you go to the right. That generally means you know the market's interested and things are happening, ramping up or whatnot, or about to. Whereas when you see things curving the other way, it's like this is probably coming into a sort of an area of sort of disinterest, or money's going elsewhere. And in this last phase here, we can see we're starting to curve the other way again. You've got to zoom right out to see this, though, with lots of bars. And, you know, it's only one thing, but just to get a real quick overview of the sort of the feeling of the market, I guess. It's the first thing I look for, is just do that.
Yeah, and
then you get confirmation with the RSI. For people that don't know what this is about, it's basically overbought, oversold, and the average through the middle there. So, so we had this amazing run-up, which took us way up into the overbought sort of region. And any analyst would say, oh, well, that's got to come down. Although I still remember being quite euphoric still around about here, just like the the thing says. Yeah, and then down through the average, and then we've come up off of that again, and we're somewhere around the average, and again you see this kind of curve. It doesn't mean anything exactly, like you can't predict the future based on this, but you can get a feel for where the market, as if you thought about the market as a kind of a mysterious beast. It's made up of, it's like a swarm. You know, it's made up of many, many traders who don't know each other and don't communicate. But as a swarm, there's these kind of weird patterns sort of come out. So this is just a nice thing to see. It looks like we're pulling out. I actually thought we were going to go down. I'm stealing the show here. I'll give it back to you in a second. I was predicting about 12.6 cents at the absolute bottom before it curved up again. But then we had this activity here that lifted everything up and then just continued the shape. So it looks great. I think it looks great. Great.
I do too. I do too. But it's just, that's the effect it has. It makes you, even the best of us, it makes you feel like it's never going to stop. You do not want to get off when it's pumping to the moon. And then when it's down here, you get complacent and you're like, it ain't going anywhere. We're hanging around this price. I don't really feel like spending my Christmas money on it. And then, and then it'll happen all over again. It'll start running and people will, oh shit, I did want some more. And then, happen all over again.
And then people will go, oh, look, a bunch of people bought in, so they'll sell, and then you'll panic and you end up chasing the price, but always a week too late. And it's not where you want to be. Or you just stake and just watch it all. How many Richard says, I can never remember. I think this might be the 8th 70% or so dip we've had since the inception of Hex. 70% plus. We're just on 71% now, I think. If I do this very roughly zoomed way out from local all-time low to local all-time high, and there you go, 71%. So if we came down 75, about 12.5, something like that. But once you start to see things curving up, and assuming the masses aren't all listening to us, and so then they go, oh no, we're going to do something else because that's what you think we're going to do. We're going to do something else.
Hey, no reverse psychology here.
Yeah, yeah.
Luckily, only a couple people believe us, so it's still not the masses that.
Excellent.
I'll tell you what, when it would have been a little harder to believe, but after this last few months, or this time of dropping, I've gotten texts of my own family talking about, oh, I got the urge to sell, and I'm like, what are you doing?
People get real nervous.
We give everybody benefit of the doubt, and we don't want to preach at them, and then there's also the stigma of trading where it's constantly, and I want to address this a little bit, you guys.
Please.
I've traded and I'm successful at it when I do it, but long story short, up against Hex, because Hex moves quickly. Yeah, we're in this dip, but it will probably move out of it quickly compared to most cryptos. And just because of how quickly it's moved, it smoked me. It smoked me. And so I just had to eventually admit that and see what was going on, and then hang up the trading, because it's just because even if you can keep up, you can't compare it once you've compared the hours you're putting into the trading. Even if you could keep up with what the stakes will do.
I've been doing a little bit of day trading just because the weather's been. I'm supposed to be doing my pilot's license and everything, but the weather's been crappy. Can't fly, so the old bug sort of hit, and I just threw a couple of grand, and I've been messing around with it, and man, I've forgotten how stressful it is.
Yeah.
I sit there watching my stakes generating interest, every day, and just blah blah blah, and I'm like, oh yeah, well, since we're in a big dip, maybe I'll try to arrest it a little bit. And I think I did okay. I think I'm around 17% better off than I would have been, or something like that. But what's that in a 600% run where I was getting no sleep for like 5 days, and yeah, it's just not. But it's kind of cool. Because I've got a history of it, I still muck about every now and again, just to sort of, because it really helps you understand or start to get a feel for what the market's doing.
Well, yeah, and
if
it's just
that's something that really interests you, because when you have to really focus on it, but it takes, if anyone who's never done the whole trading thing before, you're looking at 5 years minimum to sort of be able to hold ground on
unless
a good day.
unless you've got a good mentor, it's like Will said,
Yeah.
you're going to prepare to lose. Are you ready to lose a bunch of money to learn those lessons? Because that's going to happen. You're able to walk up as a regular Joe and join the game. That's cool.
Get another hobby.
But
Get another hobby. Yeah, that's
hobby
a good.
It's healthier for you. Whether
that's why I took up chess. And then
Yes.
Richard was like, "Oh, what's happened with my green screen? Oh, that's interesting." And then
there are
green
plenty
screen's
of
gone green.
other games to play other than with your own health and finances and
Correct.
all that. So
no,
it's crazy stressful, and the worst thing about trading is to have any chance of success. And in something like Hex, with these whales coming in and out, and the hacks and everything else like that, I mean, you just get chopped up and sliced to pieces. But even without that, to be even remotely successful over the long term, you have to absolutely shut down all emotion. And we're humans. That is not a comfortable place to be. It screws with your brain. It really does.
Yeah, it's not good.
No.
It's not good. Shoot, I keep forgetting I keep listening to you and I forget what I was gonna say.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll shut up. That'll
No,
help.
you're good.
People tell me all the time. I'm just gonna back out of here and come back quickly just to get this screen. So you go right ahead, and I'll be back in a minute.
So what I was gonna say was, shoot.
yeah,
Talking
so
about-
you guys
talking
were
about
talking
trading.
about trading and how it takes 5
Oh.
years, and then you said if you have a good mentor.
Yeah, if you have a good mentor and you can skip some of those hard lessons, but I'll tell you, when I took my courses, I was disappointed at the end at first because I wanted to absorb experience and knowledge, trust in the guy, and I assumed I'd be able to then reflect that into my everyday activities and just be great out of the gate, and it just wasn't how it worked. For one thing, you've got to still have to learn to trust yourself, and then you've got to get some good trades under your belt, because if you do a couple bad trades after you've taken classes, your confidence is going to be shot. And so it's been a little bit hard to approach this in the community because it's constantly thwarted, and so I just want to draw that there's a difference between learning how to read these charts and versus trading.
Actually putting real money in it.
Everybody should learn to read the charts. And there, but understand that there's a difference. I'm with everybody else. I don't recommend anybody try it because of all the bad things. Some people can be successful at it, but here's the end. Karim knows I can't even imagine what hits some of his, his dream account or whatever, how bad that thing swings. And when anybody gets into that position where your account is swinging with major numbers and you're going to unstake and potentially take some off the table, you're going to darn sure want to know and have some confidence in what you're doing, or you're just going to create more, you're going to have a whole bunch of really stressful events in your life if you have a whole bunch of stakes and you don't know when to sell them, or, because you don't want to have regret like, oh man, I sold at the very bottom of this pump, that's going to suck if you've been here for 3 years and you just never paid attention. And so I think chart knowledge and learning is critical. But how do you do that without promoting trading. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know. Maybe you go learn to trade Shiba Shiba Inu or something or other. And
how
then,
dare you speak that name?
Well, it's great for teaching you all the lessons about how trading can be dangerous.
I think at the end of the day, right, when we go to like the level 4 understanding or whatever, right, is that basically at the end of the day, like it's a spectrum. So even if you are 100% staked like Karim, like you're trading something, right? So he's trading his gratification now, right, for whatever Hex does in the future. And so in order to, be the healthiest version of himself, I imagine that part of what he's doing is also he's trading his energy for investing into the community, right? And so, and then when his stakes start to come out in 10 years, like he will have to decide, like, is he going to market dump it all? Is he going to provide liquidity, right? Because everybody is going to cash out at some point unless they don't, and then other people will cash out. But at the end of the day, like, it's a monetary game that we're playing. It's more than a zero-sum game, which is what leverage trading is. And that's the kind of trading that Richard speaks most ill of.
That's a negative infinity sum game.
Yes, negative infinity sum game is a good description. But even for somebody like me, right, who's 99% staked, right, and I'm living off of my crypto, and it's a complete mind F to like try to make decisions about when to, even dollar cost averaging out, right, can be something that I'm not sure, should I hold a liquid bag, and really what I try to do is I try to play around with my own motivation at the end of the day. Like, if I have like a little bit of crypto of Hex that's liquid, right, that keeps me more engaged, I think. But at the same time, I feel like I need to test out different strategies to really know what's right for me. So one example I'm going to call the Hex Monkey strategy. Hex Monkey is an awesome member of our community. He is an OG and came on the show at one point and talked about like in order to cope with his
meet. Everyone knows I love monkeys. I got some bananas I can share. Carry on.
In order to cope with his own anxiety, he told a story on Hex Therapy, and he talked about how early on he made the decision to do a stake coming out every 2 weeks. And even when the gas fees got insane, and even when the price of Hex kept going up and up and up, he never changed his strategy, and he never second guessed himself, which I see as an insanely awesome like mental health strategy. Because at the end of the day, you can have as much money as you want, and if you're not mentally healthy, then what do you really have for quality of life? And so his strategy of selling, even though he knew the price was going to keep going up, like he believed enough to be super invested in Hex and to be an awesome member of the community. But he would, even when it was back at a penny and 2 pennies and 7 pennies, right? Even though he predicted it would keep going up, he wanted to model it after his paycheck, and he got a paycheck every 2 weeks. So that's how he decided to have his Hex coming out. And so I really like presenting that as an option versus, as other people are only selling the interest, other people are restaking everything like Karim. So it comes down to really being able to understand your own psychology, not just the market psychology, and being able to live with the decisions that you make and continue to educate yourself in lots of ways. There's nothing wrong with trying to time the market, as long as you know that there's different risks that you're taking by selling now or not selling now.
Sure.
Yeah. Yep.
And ideally, of course, you'd be in a position where you're only ever selling interest and restaking principal plus some of the interest if you can, because then it's like, metaphorically, it's the difference between having an apple tree and cutting a branch off the tree to take the apples home, versus just plucking the apples off and taking them home. You're taking the fruit that's produced by the stake instead of chunks of the stake itself.
That's a great point. But I think for me, you know, it still comes back to mental health, because it's like some people don't want $1 billion. Like $1 billion would be bad for them. Some people want to limit themselves to 100 million. So if Hex is going to do another 1,000x, which is what Bitcoin did from this point, right? Like some people are not going to want to restake everything but the interest. But we have, like, we could as a community come up with solutions for that, right? Like we could educate each other on ways to cope with sudden wealth syndrome better, so that maybe people could only sell the interest and be mentally healthy, right?
I guess.
Yeah, well, I think it's whatever works. I don't think there's I think let's, like you said live with. And I've told people this too. Look, if you don't know how to make a decision, you start looking at what you can and can't live with. And what he was going with was, he decided that's what he could live with. He could live with buying tops if that's what his plan called for, and he could live with however it worked out, because that's what he decided would work for him, and that's fine. That works for me. It's because, like you said, his health is great because he chose the best decision for him, and he can change that at any time he decides to do so. So yeah, I mean, people want to. All the different ways I've heard are cool. It's just whatever
Yeah,
I've done things kind of in between. Different things I've heard, just because one, I started out dumb and I didn't know what I was doing, but the other is just because what I've done is what worked for me in the end. I'll take time, I'll sit down, and I'll think, okay, I need to make these decisions today about something that's coming up, and then when that comes. I'll tell people I do this too, and it's probably not the smartest thing, but I don't write every last detail down, because I don't know if you guys ever seen the movie Memento, but okay, the guy didn't have no short-term memory or whatever. Correct. It's kind of how I do things sometimes, because it's really hard to be upset about a loss that you didn't write down all the details to. You know what I mean? Like, I've lost. I'll tell you though, I do remember losing the money. The big money, the biggest losses I've taken was when I tried to leverage trade. That is trading on speed. And it's
the liquidation trap that when you first try it, you don't understand the liquidation trap and how that works when you first start, and it'll just wipe you out. Boom, gone.
It will wear you out, and even if you're doing okay, I've got to where I just didn't even care. After hours and hours of watching the screen, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go. I went to bed. I was like, I'm gonna go to bed and let it ride. Well, that money's gone. You know what I mean? But by the time I woke up,
been there, done that.
It'll get you, and there's so many mechanisms in there that are designed to get you. I've watched a wick. I swear it was going for me because I had no stop loss. I swear it was, because as soon as I got my money on this great big arc of a price pattern, then it went back down. And it could have been. That might be crazy to think, but you guys, these exchanges are faking. They're putting up a front too, and it looks real busy and lots of volume, and it's like an auction. Because I've made orders before and watched it. It came to my turn and it just sat there and sat there and sat there. And I thought, well, interesting, because it looks real busy right now, but somehow my order's not getting filled and I'm next in line, And so there's funny things that go on.
It's the bots, but how many of those bots run right there at the exchange?
There's funny things that go on. And so it's absolutely a great place to lose your money if that's, just so people know. Although I'm a successful trader, the most money I've lost was in 2 trades on Bybit. And I made money on there too, but I never realized any of it. I'm making money. Boom, gone. Money's gone.
Yeah.
It's and then if you're like, I was up pretty good in a trade when I was doing it one day, and there's things that'll happen. The power went out. I didn't have a stop loss set. What are you gonna do? I mean, talk about panic. Then another day. Before I had learned my lesson, what did I do? I don't know. I just know that strange things will happen, and I'll be up in a trade and like let it run for a day or two before I realize that every 8 hours they'll start taking money out. So even if you're winning, you're gonna lose, because with Bybit, if there's too many payouts going in one direction, then everybody on the other side who has a long or a short, they just take a percentage out of your stack to cover it. Now, it's pretty genius for them, the way they figured out to do it, like that, but it's just built to make you lose. Like,
Yep.
It's built to make you lose.
Yep. And if you take a short position and it goes bull, then next thing there's messages coming up saying, we're sorry, due to unusually high traffic, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, what?
Yeah. Really
you
strange.
can't execute a stop or anything. And it's just all kinds of crazy stuff like that all the time that you know, you
it's
just
going in
don't
your
see in
favor.
real
So we
trading.
had to pull some punches, right?
Yeah,
It's
crazy.
a bad deal.
Yep.
You know, just you guys want to watch people do it, but it's a bad deal. And those people that do it successfully, they have secrets that they're not telling everybody, you know.
Yeah, you only have to be unsuccessful one day that you didn't broadcast, and that's a whole different story to the story you're sort of trying to tell people. But you know, trading cryptos on the crypto exchanges, it's not the same. It doesn't have any of the safety regulations, rules, and things as the real stock exchange. It just absolutely doesn't, and even the real one's kind of corrupt and rigged. You know,
Yes.
with all the different players involved, but you know, you've got these crypto ones, and they just do whatever the hell they want, and you're completely relying on them not screwing around with you. But
Arthur
It's
Hayes, we're talking to you. Bad exchange owner. Bad exchange
They-
owner.
Lots of bad exchanges. Over the last 4 years I've seen. It's a great way to lose crypto is to leave it on exchange, and because they'll just pack up and leave. Even if they tell you, like, I lost Hex, you guys. Back in the beginning, they were rich. You know, there were people talking about we weren't real, you know, and everything's a scam, and you know, then they started trading. I think it was on HitBTC, and so I was like, well, I'm just going to take some over there and trade it, you know, because everybody's talking about we don't exist, you know what I mean? So I went just to do it and put some volume out there, and so I'd set some orders, and you know, I was both making Hex and losing it, and it was a small amount. I don't know how it wouldn't be small today. I want to say a couple $100 worth or something, if that. It wasn't a lot, but then they sent out an email at one point talking about come get your crypto because we're shutting down by this day. And so I went over there to get it. No, they sent the email out, but there wasn't no crypto in my account left to go get. So you know, I lost Hex just trying to put some volume on the books for Hex. But I mean, again, it's one of the worst places. Is the exchanges have most of the times I lost crypto is stuff like that when they're just we're gone. By the way, we're done.
yeah.
You know.
And how hard is it them to have a little program running there that's just looking at all the trading going on and bringing up an alert? Oh, this one's doing really, really well. Due to technical difficulties, we'll have the site back online very soon. And then when it finally does come back, you know, everything's crashed and you didn't have to stop in. And
Yeah, the technical
You get
difficulty is
liquidated
they were
or-
running away with all your money.
yeah. I mean, right?
December 22nd, I think it was in 2017. For those of you who weren't there, I was getting ready to trade the heck out of Bitcoin. It was making some moves, right? And
Was it what?
Coinbase
Hemorrhaging
just
moves.
Coinbase would log you out every couple seconds or every time you made an action. It would log you out and make you go through the whole process. I mean, they made it impossible, and they did it on purpose. So I mean, it's just like even the exchange that I trusted at the time, I was like, oh, okay, I get it.
Everything got
I'm not allowed to
overloaded
win.
towards-
You know what I mean?
Yeah, everything got overloaded towards the end then, and then, you know, once one site has the balls to say, I'm sorry, we have to shut down because people are losing money because they can't execute trades and stuff, then they all do. even the exchanges that have hardly any traffic, you know, they're like, oh, we're having the same problem too. And so it's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Hey, since we're talking about trading, I want to address this this constant thing that comes up with Hex about how the trading volume is so low compared to the market cap and all this kind of stuff, and it just doesn't seem right. There must be a lot of people watching that have never actually been into trading. Stay that way. Never seen that
That's me.
happening. Yeah. So but if you go to a popular exchange, I'm not saying you should. You don't have to, because I'm going to tell you how it is, and you can completely trust me, because you can. The way trading works, especially with trading bots and stuff like that, I mean, you can go in with $1, out with $1, in with $1, out with $1, in with $1, out with $1. Do that 1,000,000 times, so you end up nowhere except paying a bunch of fees, and that will register on, you know, CoinMarketCap and all that kind of stuff as $1 million of trading volume, right? buy a dollar, sell a dollar, buy that, and in hundreds of times a second, you could watch it happening. And yet you get these ranking sites come around and go, well, your trading volume's so low. It's like, well, yeah, because when we do trade, it's on a decentralized exchange, and you can't do 1,000 bloody trades a second that don't go anywhere because they just buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell with the price per order is hovering in the same place all day long. Just saying. Trading volume, total sham of an argument, complete rubbish. But anyway, there you go, especially for Hex. I would say 99+% of all trading volume on all of the other things that are taken from centralized exchanges is just complete crap. It's not even trading, really. And even if it is, you can see the trading bots there constantly going backwards and forwards, making microcents a trade and barely breaking even on the fees and all that, just hammering at hundreds of trades a minute. And, the trading volume's all stacking up. Oh, and why doesn't Hex have that? Well, gee, I wonder. Firstly, we're not on centralized exchanges, really. And secondly, we don't like centralized exchanges. We do exchanging on decentralized exchanges where every trade is an actual trade, because you ain't paying the Ethereum gas fee for some bot to do 1,000 bloody trades a second. It's just not going to happen. So that's why our trading volume is low. It makes total sense. I'm just saying, if anyone cares.
We do.
Cool.
It's a terrible to trade Hex. I mean, it's I don't know why people. There's other things. There's other things.
Trade other. If you really must get into it because you're curious, don't trade. It doesn't make any sense. Especially with the whales we've got and stuff, you just get instantly wiped out. And if you're doing it on the dexes, and it just makes.
But how are you defining trading? Because there's lots of different definitions.
Me?
Oh, buying and selling on a regular basis, whatever that means to you, with the aim of timing the market to make more money than you would just holding, which you won't, by the way. That's another fact, but it's kind of fun too.
You'll pay for it. Whatever you have a chance of, it's a gamble, and then in the end, it's not just a gamble. You're going to pay for it because of the time that passes and that extra brain capacity that Wells has mentioned. That you don't know it unless you've done it. But it's constantly. It's like take your regular job and then decide to do a flip house. You think that's not going to affect all of your extra, your concentration at work when you're doing a flip house on the side? It does.
Yeah, no.
Even though when you're at work,
trying to trade for a living to replace your work, your job income or something like that. I mean, that is impossible.
Yeah, especially
cannot be done. Period.
Yeah, especially if it's critical that you make it, it's even more unlikely that it's going to work out.
There's just no way.
Yeah,
no one can do that. Unless your job is trading and they're paying you a salary plus bonuses or something or other, you haven't got a shit show in hell. Maybe if you start with $1 billion, you can get away with it for a few years before you lose it all. But
and it's thinking about it the other day and this whole trading thing and how they say 90% of people will fail at it, and I'm sure it's true. But I put it in a little bit different light of like, well, what would be the percentage of people that could do my job? It's really, really low for some different reasons that just would make people fall off and maybe do something else. Let's say a firefighter. I don't think there's that big of a percentage of the population that will get the job if they try to be a firefighter. Now, let's say that you decide you're really determined you're going to do it. Just like with trading, maybe you could, if you could go right along in the truck, you might get your ass beat up. Doing the job and realize that, you could do it, but maybe it ain't a perfect fit for you. And maybe you wouldn't, maybe you shouldn't be doing that.
Just like firefighting, there's not always a fire to put out, and in the markets, there's not always anything even happening that's tradable as well, And
if
you can't make it your 24/7 job.
And if your job performance is critical and livelihoods hang in the balance, it's not a game. It's not a game. You don't. Why take that? Why go through all that when
there's other things to do?
When Hex, he literally built it to teach you a lesson. If you do that, if you're new to it, you're not going to outperform it. You're not, and you're not gonna do it without stress, you know.
So someone might have the question, well, why are you guys talking about trading? How come you've done all this trading if you say it's so bad and everything? Well, because Hex didn't exist back then, yo.
Well, I wanted to learn hard lessons. You know, it's
Well,
like I
that too.
said, I know when I'm doing something I could probably learn quicker or through someone else's telling me, you know, like just like with Bybit or wherever I did the leverage trade, I couldn't. There's certain things that are my curiosity aren't going to let out of my system
That's me too.
unless
That's why
I
I do
go
it.
there, you know,
Yep.
and then I'll
Yep.
not
Gotta learn
going to
it.
forget. You think I'm going to forget losing, you know, a couple grand at a time? No, I'm not, you know, because I'm not the type of person. I don't gamble, and I'm not really willing to lose any money, but you know, I'm prepared to. And in those occasions, I knew that could be the end result, and it was. And so, but now I know. Like I said, when you sit there and watch the screen and you watch some of the shenanigans, and then you know, I have a better understanding, and I can come to viewers and go, look, you know, they're playing games right there. And even like your favorite traders, you guys give me. I was thinking about. I don't want to say his name, but I was thinking about a prolific Bybit trader today. And you guys got to understand that person went to Bybit physically and spoke with those people in the very beginning. And you have a hard time getting me to believe he doesn't have a special situation with them, which allows him through his links and whatever special thing he worked out. And I know this because he literally had said, before he went, I'm going to, you know, he was after a better deal than most anybody would ever get, you know, whether it be his percentages of what he earns in those links or whatever it is. He has multiple streams of income that allowed him to make those huge losses and learn those huge lessons, which got him to where he is today.
Yeah.
You know, that's just reality.
That's dedication too, you know, and it's if you're going to put that kind of effort on the line.
Oh yeah. He also lives, you know, he also is glued to that computer, absolutely, for hours on end, and sacrifices a lot of his life. You know, you guys don't forget that. Don't forget that a lot of these people that are successful in margin trading, they live in an apartment, and they might have a Ferrari or a nice car, but there ain't a whole lot else going on until they take a break, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, so it is a fascinating, exciting sort of thing to do, like the casino, but you don't go to the casino to earn your rent. It's not how you do it.
We have some interesting data here that was presented on one of the Hex streams the other day. I think it might have been on Whales Only stream, that is showing what all the influencers are making out there, shilling their garbage, selling their audience, under the guise of educating their audience, right? But this is Chico Crypto, you know, has 250,000 subs and is charging $45,000. And what do you get? You know, you get him to pump your shitcoin, right? And BitBoy charges $40,000 for his 1.2 million subscribers. Ivan on Tech does one full dedicated review for 17,000. Or no, that's 100,000. Sorry, wrong line. But yeah, this is the reality of YouTube. Is they're not people who are here to, you know, or these are Twitter influencers now who are, you know, willing to do 1 to 10 tweets and like 50 of your posts for $2,000, right? Or a Wendy O, right? We all know her from some of the Hex streams that she's done, although she was shit talking Hex before that, and she sells her audience for $10,000 for 1 to 10 retweets, you know. So this is part of the corruption that Hex broadcasters don't have to submit their users to, right? Because we're supported by staking and chilling.
Yeah. And this is the public stuff. There's a hell of a lot of other stuff goes on. Like XYZ Exchange calls you up one day and say, hey, you don't like that Project Shiba, do you? Oh, hell no, it's a scam. Hey, you've got a big audience. Why don't we pay you like 50 grand to do a special episode, just totally, you know, telling the people what you think of that crappy whatever it is. All right. It's just, yeah, it goes both ways. They will shit talk for money, often more money. If they've got a big audience, they'll just be offered money for it.
Right.
Someone's best interest, you know.
Bad influencers, bad
talking heads.
exchange
Bad
owners.
influencers. The other reason that I initially started trading, for that person who asked, was you learn things and then glean whatever you can from it to apply to the parts of your life. So, for instance, the first thing I bought was silver. Actual silver was at $14, and I could read the chart, and I was like, wow, this is like an 11-year low. And so I bought some, and it's gone up ever since. Now, it would, I just bought it to like give my kids someday, but I didn't even use my classes for crypto. First thing I bought was a profitable buy in silver. When line physically had it sent to my house, you know what I'm saying? But the other thing was, like, my job's physical, and I'm somewhat of an artist, and I don't have a lot of options at this point in my life, other than I'm really good at what I do, and I have a great job. But if that goes away,
what's left? Yeah.
If I got hurt, you know what I'm saying? The beauty of 24-hour a day trading through crypto, which is like the stock market, I just thought was amazing. Opportunity for an individual to earn money unobstructed from their home any time of day. I just thought, this is the allure. That was
it totally makes sense. Yeah, I got the same story in 2000. I got into a situation I basically could never work full time again, and crypto came along, and it was like being able to do the stock market, but on a poor man's budget, Yeah. And so it seemed like the obvious thing to do. And the last thing you ever think of when you're new to something is that it's all full of corruption and everything.
Yeah.
But it gave me, I'd always been interested. I bought a book on technical analysis on a whim in a bookstore when I was about 19 years old. I had no access to anything that I could trade. I just thought, oh, this is fascinating. I never heard about this before. And I devoured that book, And it was, almost 20 years later, that some of the lessons in that I could apply, It's just a fascinating topic. But the accessibility of it, this is, and how easy they make it. Like, you go to Wall Street or something like that and say, set me up with a trading terminal and blah, blah, blah. You're not doing that for $50.
It's bad. People think KYC is bad. Same thing. I opened an account on I can't even remember what it was. But I was shocked. I was like, I felt like I was getting hired somewhere for, a big joint. They were asking all sorts of questions. And then the trading and brokerage fees and things, man, you better be coming in there with at least $1 million, or you're just wasting your time. And even then, it's just, so compared to that, crypto's like, for people that are interested in it, and I am interested in the whole thing. I find the markets and the way the markets move and that really, really fascinating. But I could, and I do all right at it these days, actually, when I do it. But it's incredibly stressful. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone, nevertheless. And you absolutely can't. There's no way you're going to earn a regular income off of it if you're day trading. Like, you have to be there to do the trades, kind of a thing. Yeah.
You're not going to make a living doing that, but you can have some fun.
And that's why I think you see a lot of the trading, paid trading groups, is because it's more profitable than just trading, obviously. Otherwise, why would anybody do it? And then they've created themselves another job, where they're constantly doing. I know a couple guys that do it, and they're pretty good. But I think they're sitting in an apartment somewhere by themselves 24 hours a day. You know what I mean? Like, it's not for me. Like, it's kind of like Christmas. It's still really cool, but I found out Santa Claus ain't real.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if push came to shove and I needed to, then I would take on that stress, and I'd sit in front of this computer and I would earn for my family, and I would, because if that was my only choice, I'm just telling you, like,
it's a skill that you've gained, and it's something you can access when you can't get out there and do something physically, and it totally makes sense.
But even then, I stay Texan, so I wouldn't have to do that. You know what I mean? Like, so I say that I would, but in the end,
it's the option, though, isn't it? It's the knowing that you could. It's not that you definitely would. It's
it's my favorite is when somebody says, should I not buy right now? And then to be able to give someone close a really solid answer. Like, well, you can buy anytime. I buy anytime too, just like Wales was saying he was buying. I buy whenever I feel like it, honestly. But I usually know about the kind of deal I'm getting.
I look at the weekly chart and go, "Yep, I'm good."
Yeah, I'm in range. I mean,
it's like, yeah. But, I share that kind of, like, I can make fire by rubbing sticks together because that was a skill that I wanted to have, right? Like, literally.
But it's hard.
It's a lot of work. You work up a sweat, and you got to find the right wood. First, you got to spend like an hour traipsing through the damp forest trying to find a dead stand. I mean, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing, right? If you start from zero, you can't just you don't just stumble across this stuff. You got to.
Oh yeah, you watch grown men get defeated trying to make a fire, man, on some of these survival shows.
Took me 6 months at least on and off of researching and studying that stuff. But it's a skill I wanted to have because having the option to be able to make a fire. Or even just to not waste the energy and the strength when I'm in a survival situation, knowing what won't work, so don't even bother trying. There's a lot of that, It's just these skills. Now, will I ever need it? I hope not. But damn, it feels good knowing I can do it if I
got some peace of mind. You're like, I don't got to worry about that.
Yeah, and
I'll light you up.
Trading's the same, and anything to do with, But it's like, hey, bro, and you can start a fire for us. It's like, yeah, sure. Here's the things I need. An hour later, if they're really good, so I'll come back. Right now, give me about 30 minutes. Get organized here because things are damp and blah, 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 and work up a big... I mean, if it's the middle of summer and everything's dry, you can knock something up in 10 minutes if you really know the area. But, it's hard work, even when you've got the right kit.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. I'm in Washington State and been known to use some diesel to get a fire. Even the diesel won't light on fire very well here, man. It's cold.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised how much
billows and billows of smoke. And then it goes out.
Straight on some diesel before it'll burn.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Oh, but man. So that's kind of how we got into the trading thing. It sounds like the same for both of us, where it's like, hey, if I need something to fall back on, and yes, there is the reality that you're trying to take somebody's money, kind of, but it's with Bitcoin and like Ethereum, it's so much of a bigger, broader picture than that it's not entirely like that. You could have somebody selling after holding for 5-10 years, and really you're getting them out of their bag if you're buying, and then if you were to sell, maybe
willing seller, right?
Yeah. So I mean, it's a market, and it's not. I don't think people should hate it. The sad part is people that don't know they might learn really bad lessons losing money. That's
the main thing. Yeah.
But
and just how much corruption and bullshit and wash trading and bots and everything, and it's just the crypto game is so badly rigged against you, and it's not getting any better as time goes on because all the exchanges are fighting each other for survival and customer retention and all that kind of thing. It's just not a good deal. But you can learn. Yeah, you can learn. Just for God's sake, don't ever put anything. Unless you're like next level shit that I've never met. Treat it like a casino. You go there for the entertainment and don't delude yourself that. I mean, even if you're really, really dedicated, you stand a very small chance of succeeding and being someone that can make a living out of it on a consistent basis.
Absolutely.
And crypto markets go dead for 3 years at a time. So you might be really good, but you end up with almost no volatility in just about everything, all on a downtrend. I mean, traders just go, well, I'm done. I'll be back in 3 years, Yep. So it's not a lifetime kind of career you can build up to. It's just not. But
even bot trading, I've got lifetime subscription to some bot software, and I did that for a while. And it's fun. It's entertaining, but maybe like $15 a day or something like that. Until one day, it made me like, and I'd spend a lot of time with it, messing with it, tweaking it, and all this stuff. And it was, like I said, it was kind of fun hobby, and I just liked the idea of something trading when I wasn't there. You know what I mean? Like, who doesn't like the idea?
It's cool.
And then And then
I
one
like
day
everything to do with computers and the internet and all that. And if I can make a couple of cents, all the better, you know. But
Yeah.
I'm a computer geek, right? That's what I do.
I can badass. Until it traded, it made me like $78 in one trade one day, which it wasn't supposed to be doing, and then it lost me like 150, and I was like, all right, I think we're done with this. And then, because it's making like $1 at a time, in these trades until it did that. And then I was listening to the guy who made it, who wrote the software one day, being interviewed, and they asked him how his trading was going. He's like, oh, I'm getting wrecked. And I was like, what? I'm out of here, man.
As soon as all the bots start doing the same thing, it doesn't work no more.
At least he was being honest, but yeah.
This is only tangentially related, but I got excited, maybe as like many people have once upon a time, about like blackjack, and I could learn a blackjack strategy that gives me an edge.
Man.
And
you got the best chance in the whole casino on blackjack if you've got a lot of time on your hands.
At the end of the day, I ended up doing a reality check by programming in MATLAB, tweaking a software that had been written, and so I was able to simulate with like the same rules that were available at the local casino, like multiple players and maximum bets and all this other stuff. I was able to simulate 100 million hands every time I clicked the button, and I didn't take that many times of clicking the button to really realize that just like any good rug pull, it always goes to zero in a certain amount of time, or not really zero, but it just, the line always showed the same thing, and it didn't really matter whether you went up a certain amount, because the house advantage would always kill you in the end. So
yeah, it's the most favorable house advantage in the entire casino. 19% is what they'll let you walk away with on average, not you, just everyone that comes in on average. The house will let 19% of everything. That's where the table limits are set and everything. Statistically, it works out around 19% that they'll let people take back, basically. So all the money that gets bet, on average, about 19% goes back. So the house is taking the other 81%, of course, on average. Yeah.
Really?
Wow. That's how the table limits and the kitty, bids and all that kind of thing. And it's no different when you go up to the high roller tables. They just, it's a bigger entry, but they still have a table limit, and the math all still works out the same.
Speaking of gambling, you guys, one of the easiest person to approach I found is the person in our state. We have the scratch tickets, and they'll sell them not at the counter anymore. I don't think they sell them out of this vending machine thing, and so there's nobody really. They're not really talking to anybody, and I'm watching them feed money into that thing, dude.
Oh, it's
and
shocking.
so lately, when I see them, I'm like, hey, and I'll start talking about Hex, and be like, you want to win? I got the thing for you. You know what I'm saying? And they turn around and they're like, oh yeah. They're like, yeah.
Yeah, man.
And they're talking.
That's what's up. Yeah,
That's cool.
saving people who really need it, like people being able
cool.
to save themselves from themselves. That's a beautiful thing.
I mean, they're gonna win $2 off that $20, or whatever. But it's just like, I got something better to park your money. Trust.
Yeah, talk about a rug pull. Why don't you play the lottery or go to a casino?
Yeah. And there's a whole bunch of us doing it, and we don't got people chasing us down and calling us bums and kicking us out of the place all the time either. It's actually kind of fun. So yeah, maybe that's for the second discussion.
See, I never done casinos. I never got it. I was like, it looks like a warehouse.
I was gonna. We had one open, and because I'd done all the computer simulation stuff, and the whole thing fascinated me about the odds and how the games work and how they rigged them and all that kind of thing. And then we got a casino, our first one, because they were illegal up until I was about 23 or something. And so, and it was 100 miles away, so we drove down there, and we went in there, and then I got to see what it was like in real life, and it's a funny thing. You sit at a blackjack table, and it's like, you place your bets, and it's like, come on, people, come on, we're playing here. It's like, tick, 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 it's okay, all right. It's like, you used to go and click, win, lose, click, win, lose, click, win, lose on the computer. You go to a real casino, hell, you'd be lucky to get through a hand on a full table of blackjack. You'd be lucky to get through a freaking deal every couple of minutes at best, just with everyone larriking around and doing their drinking and partying, the girls and everything. And it's like, holy crap, man, that means my strategy, I'm going to have to let me just sit here for like 7 weeks or something. It's not going to work, you know.
Yeah.
But it's all about entertainment, you know, and the environment. If that kind of thing is fun. But yeah, don't.
But there are other ways to have fun. There are other things to do when you're bored, other than trading and gambling. And
I don't
like,
always
for
eat sushi.
example,
I don't always
people
go to the casino.
people are going to London for the Hex birthday party. Shout out to Crypto303, who's based there in the UK, and is stopping by to say hi to Quan Gang before the party week continues for them there in London.
I got another question. Has anyone wondered why it is that blocks also have 6 sides like a hexagon?
Why?
I don't know. It's just some ethereal coincidence. It's amazing. Carbon is the 6th element on the periodic element tables, and it got the number 6 on the thing long before anyone knew what its crystalline structure shape was. How many sides? As far as I know. Dun, dun, dun. We have blockchains. Dice have 6 sides. We're into hex. Also has 6 sides. 3 dimensions, 2 dimensions. I wonder if we also rule the 4th dimension. Wait, we do. Staking, time locking. Oh my god. I think I've just unlocked the whole secret to X and everything that is.
And what is it again? That some things have 4 sides and some things have 6.
We own the 2-dimensional hex. We own the 3-dimensional 6-sided blocks, like in the blockchain, right? And we stake in the 4th dimension, time, which actually isn't a dimension, but we'll go with it. So we've got it all. Yeah.
Hey, you know, my phone's probably gonna die in a minute, but I do want to say something about the swap that formerly was called Pull Swap. My brother was asked me about it today, and what I had to say to him was, there's lots of opportunities, and what's kind of cool about this one is I don't think it's going to be a dud or anything you don't want to mess with necessarily, because Richard doesn't really like to create stuff like that. And at one point he did. I think Richard did suggest that some of us might want to provide liquidity and do just this, you know, and
if
you
you
know, he
happen to
doesn't
have other
suggest
tokens
things
sitting around.
that he thinks are going to be poor decisions for you usually. So, you know, those are some notes I wanted to say. And also just that, like, you know, I went in pretty hard at the beginning, and then I took a bunch of time off and didn't really understand Hex, and I paid price for it, you know, because I was in first week, and then I was like, that's good enough. And, you know, I could have done far, far, far better had I looked into it and learned about it better earlier.
My story,
thing, you know,
I was following it hard out, man. I was like, I can't wait for this damn thing, and I just got sort of exhausted, and just weeks went by, and I didn't see any streams. And one night I'm lying in bed. Sorry if everyone's heard this before, but I'm like, oh man, how's that Hex thing coming along? I got to check out Richard's latest stream. I go there, and it launched 3 months ago. Yeah. So you were there first week, but you took time off, and I knew it was coming, and I was excited, and I took time off, and it's just funny, isn't it?
I almost missed it too, and because I was like you, and I just happened to go, oh shit, you know, and I went and looked, and I just happened to catch it just before he launched it.
Right.
But you know, it has the tortoise and hare effect, where, you know, I acted like some people that we've met and I know that have made good money in crypto. They're less likely to listen about Hex because they're chilling now. You know, they think they've done their thing. They've had some success, and you know, now they're complacent. And I was like, hey, I'm kind of that way. I went in hard with Hex, and then I've gone in pretty hard with Pulse, whereas he didn't. He was just getting in and learning about it. And I'm like, you know, you could catch up with me. You maybe going a little bit heavier on the Pulse swap, because there's going to be a limited number of people in that. I don't have a ton of money left to even put into that. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm pretty well done.
Dry powder is scarce.
and so there's got to be a lot of people like me who, even if they decide to do it, maybe don't have the powder they normally would. And so, you know, I was like, that might be something you would be interested in, just because of the limited number of people that will be in that opportunity. It may be pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. It's got a real chance. If only we could read the future.
Which would largely be maybe people like him who are like, hey, I didn't have my feet under me when I got into this thing, and I missed a few opportunities, and I'm looking for maybe another one, that, and you know what, we've got so much opportunity, you guys. We're overthinking it.
Yeah, I mean, right? Like
we're overthinking it.
Hooking up with the community and getting on that sort of wagon and on the train, and then learning and being exposed to all the opportunities and all that. That's where the real profits come from, and not just monetary either. Like Maddie's been an absolute godsend to me. I was losing it, absolutely losing it. Big long story. I've told it before, but yeah, I reached out for something completely different that was freaking me out, and sudden wealth syndrome, all that kind of thing, and a few other bits and pieces, just general health, nothing to do with money as well, that he's really helped me out with, and all that kind of thing, and happily and for free. And Hex in the community is what did that. And I've been involved in communities my whole life, and apart from the odd wives' tale that's spread around the thing, I mean, you don't usually come across a qualified neuroscientist and professional psychologist when you're just banging around on the internet complaining about stuff. Here we are, and there's lots of stories of people being helped out in real ways by people in this community. There's just something about Hexicans and what we were looking for when it came along that just seems to be really practical, and it's quite something.
Yeah, it's a community of people who are interested in self-improvement, and that came about because Richard launched his channel with self-improvement advice and built a base of people who didn't care if Hex sounded like a scam when it was marketed with scammy language, and that ended up bringing out the best types. I got into Hex because it was involving this technical maneuver to free claim using my Bitcoin signing software. And so that was something new to me that I wanted to learn how to do. And I did that with 3 different projects, and Hex was one of them. And then I noticed the community, so many people giving freely, Richard giving so much, that it made me want to pay it forward. It bought me my freedom. And so now, it's an inspiration. And FutureUs and Pulse Lord and so many other members of the community have paid it forward in so many ways. I'm super grateful to be a part of such a cool staker class.
Yes,
pretty cool.
Yes, there's very few communities that will, the members will openly share whatever they can to try to help the others, because most of the time people they want to hold what they've got close to chest to try to beat everybody else at the game, I guess.
So zero sum game, isn't it?
People just don't want to share the good knowledge they've got for whatever reason. They think that someone's, as if someone can it's just like with my courses. I couldn't immediately take the best knowledge I could pay for and assimilate it. It just doesn't work that way, So people are a little bit, they're just way too stingy, because even if I sit you and tell you exactly how to make a profitable trade, it's not going to automatically transfer to you. And so it's silly for people to try to withhold all this knowledge, because, we can barely hope that over 3 hours that maybe some of the important things we've said would get retained by some people, and that's how it is with me. I mean, I've watched long streams, and a lot of times I'm working or doing something else, and but there's certain things that I'll pick up and I'll remember forever, that someone said.
For sure. And I'm only at the sort of junior successful level I'm at because I haven't been able to work full time, and I have put hundreds and hundreds of hours on and off over 20 years, watching and listening to streams and all this kind of stuff to learn this stuff. You can't, and I was anything but dedicated to it. It's been a very on again, off again kind of a thing, but nevertheless, it's not something I just picked up when I discovered Hex and went, oh yeah, how does this trading thing work? It just doesn't, it's a bit of a black art. It really is, especially spread over time. But an art nevertheless. It's not, Yep. Yeah.
So yeah, thanks to everybody, those watching too, anybody who does anything, because doing this kind of stuff myself, it really really cuts into time. Like Maddie, how many times you've done 3 hour streams, man, or whatever. You guys got to understand that's 3 hours that Maddie doesn't get to learn and read a book and teach himself some stuff. And same with FutureUs, everybody, Whales Only, everybody,
and everybody watching, because I don't know what we're teaching, but hopefully
Yeah.
something good.
Hey,
we're so sorry, you guys. We're so
listen.
sorry.
People
But,
can
only
take
for
omega
myself.
3, right? People can take omega 3. The reason you want to is because your brain is supposed to be, the weight of your brain is supposed to be 25% omega 3, but you might not be getting enough in your diet. Like about 85% of Americans who are not taking omega 3, it's not in the food supply as much as it used to be. And this is what allows your prefrontal cortex to work correctly. So I'm not like, you can get it for $5 a month at your local grocery store. It doesn't have to be this brand, but I highly recommend it because it makes a noticeable difference in the clarity of your thinking and in other activities that make you human, such as problem solving, regulating your emotions, right? Thinking about the future, esteeming yourself. There are so many important things that you get from having a healthier brain. And omega 3 is the material that your brain needs to insulate the electrical wires. Already, the people in the audience who've started taking it also report a difference. And so definitely worth giving a try. Make a note of it. Omega 369.
I've been meaning to.
Please.
I
Believe
highly
it or not.
recommend it. I mean, if you're getting enough anyway, I guess you wouldn't really notice a big difference, but it changed my life. I was getting seriously, I already had a bunch of health issues and things going on, and I just figured it was just more of that. But when I started describing to Maddie what the actual symptoms were, he started talking about this, and I was like, oh God, here we go again. Someone who says you can just fix things with a whole bunch of bloody pills and potions and what's the word, placebo nonsense. But I'd got desperate, and he seemed to have the qualifications, and he said that there was, and he actually told me some of the science behind it, and I was like, oh, okay, so I'll give it a go. And yeah, I mean, 3 weeks later, I feel like I was pulled out of a black hole, and this had been something that had been gradually getting worse for a very, very long time. So in my case, and I still believe that the vast majority of vitamins that you take as in supplement form and pills is just a complete waste of money. But
Yes.
but
Yeah.
but this stuff, I don't know, man. I mean, it's cod liver oil, right? My grandmother used to tell me, you got to make sure you have cod liver oil. It'll put a shine on it and stuff. She used to say, like, yeah, whatever, Granny. But our whole sort of genetic history going way, way back from where I come from. Apparently, if they didn't do the cod liver thing, they got real sick up there. Some of the Danish and stuff like that. It was a big, big part of their culture. So there's that as well. So I don't know.
Yeah,
it's
it's not too often that a vitamin or a supplement like has a noticeable effect where you can tell that you're thinking more clearly, right? And that happens on the same timeline that we expect it would from a neuroscientific perspective, because there are actual brain cells called oligodendrocytes that are a part of the neuroglia system that installs the myelin on the axons. So the myelin sheath is the rubbery material that insulates the electrical wires called axons in the brain. And without that electrical insulation, just like your cell phone charger cord, the electricity wouldn't, get into your phone from the wall as efficiently, because electricity is leaky and shocky. And so to avoid the leakiness and shockiness of the electricity, using a rubber insulation is preferred for your cell phone charger and for your brain. And so it makes perfect sense why it takes about 3 to 4 weeks for the omega-3 to like work its way into your brain. Although I have heard stories, because I recommended this to hundreds of mental health and substance abuse clients over the the 3 or 4 years that I knew it could change people's lives. So it works for some people in as little as a week.
Yeah, I'm sure it started helping me almost straight away, but it was around about 3 weeks where I kind of had that aha moment where I was like,
Yes.
dude, wow, I'm functioning. The realization came in roughly 3 weeks. And when you said 3 weeks, I quietly said to myself, oh, well, this is me, so I'll give it 6. Because I just had so little results from anything else. So yeah, it's just it's basically your modern form of cod liver oil. It's and it works. And I was eating avocados and salmon, which are both quite rich in omega-3, but evidently just not enough. Apparently my brain is very big. This must be a TARDIS. This is end-zone space. On the inside, it's much bigger. I mean, I get lost in it all the time, so there's all the proof I need.
Yeah. There's the proof.
God, I'm so full of shit. Never seem to run out of it either.
Well, and you don't want to get too much omega-3, but since it's supposed to be in your natural diet, the warning is that you should not take more than 3,000 or 4,000 milligrams per day. And if you're on blood thinners, don't take it without checking with your doctor. But because it's supposed to be in the food that you take, it's pretty safe and not medical advice to just tell people, yeah, that's part of the human diet that's supposed to happen. About what, I usually start off with 1,000 milligrams per day with food for the first week, and then 2,000 milligrams a day after that.
Well, if it don't kill you, it might help.
Correct.
All right. Not sponsored. And we don't want none.
That's right.
We're doing just fine, thanks.
I mean, that's actually not completely true because I did drop an Amazon referral link, but I don't think I think it goes to a product that's out of stock. So you're welcome or whatever.
Well done.
I don't think. Yeah, it's gonna be very much. I think it's. I'm not in it for the listen. I'm not in it for the referral. I'm shilling you literally the exact thing I take, which is Sam's Club, and I started out the pitch with it's $5 a month if you buy it at your local grocery store. So don't order it from Amazon. How about that?
No offense, Amazon. Don't hate us. Got enough of them.
That's right.
Yeah. I chanced across a video the other day of a guy being interviewed who was a professional trader for 30 years and quite well respected and everything else. And it had nothing to do with Hex. It was about crypto. But somewhere right in the middle of it, he goes, oh yeah, these Ponzi schemes, like Hex, rob Peter to pay Paul and all this stuff. And I was like, and he just got through half an hour of talking about how he really puts the time in and really studies before he invests in anything. So and I believed him, but it was evident that he hadn't spent any time at all looking at Hex because, of course, the one thing we don't do is rob Peter to pay Paul. But there's this message is just out there somehow. It's just they have really succeeded in this slanderous, rumorizing nonsense that Hex is somehow, the people that were in before get paid by the new people coming in kind of nonsense, which is just factually incorrect in every single way you could think of it. And but it's funny, because me knowing things like that, the first thing I want to do when someone says, oh, I heard it was a scam, is I want to sit them down and I want to describe all the mathematics and prove to them that it's not. And it's like, well, I've learned over life that strategy doesn't actually work. But that's where the no coiners just they're so easy. It's like, yeah, I've heard about this Bitcoin thing. Apparently you know something about it. How does it work? We call it Hex now? Oh, okay. all right, I didn't know. Yeah, and that's, you know,
Well, Ponzi scheme,
go.
Ponzi scheme kind of just a failed attempt at hex, right?
Uh,
Anybody that could have created hex instead of whatever schemes they've come up with in the past would have done it. I've got to assume. It's just a different
I
way
don't
of
know. I mean,
looking at
hex.
things.
When you really go deep in hex, it really is genius. I don't know that there's very many people in the world that would have had the opportunity to have the time and the resources and the brain power to pull it all together and create what was created.
And
I mean,
yeah,
so
you go.
yes, but it's genius level. It really is.
There you go.
Yes, but yeah.
That's a good point to make, you guys, from macro view, is because people want to make the argument, well, there's going to be new innovations and other things. True, but for someone,
I think his phone just died.
Oh, that was going to be good.
He'll come in the comments and tell us what he was going to say. Hopefully. Yeah. So I like the point that people have to do their homework to get into hex, and maybe those are the people that we want to be the next billionaires.
Yeah.
Are the people
that's part of the
homework.
genius.
It's part of the IQ test, right?
Yep.
And so again, that's part of the genius design, that it repelled people who weren't here for self-improvement and who did not do their homework. And so I think it's really incredible. When I look at the view counts that we get, and when I think about how many people I've onboarded, I truly believe that there are probably not more than 10 to 20,000 active hex users, because I personally have the receipts of onboarding, in my personal life, probably 50 to 100 people who really don't watch streams, don't know what hex is, oh, thanks for this physical, cold wallet, Maddie, I'll hold on to this coin forever, right? So it's really incredible to me that we are still so early. We're in the first 10,000 active users if you're watching the stream. And when you look at the OG streams that are the most honest broadcasters, they all, if you have a really good show on hex, you're getting, 3,000 to 10,000 views on your videos. And so it's, those are the people who are actively engaged in the community, who have bought their freedom, or who are just, that next wave of people to be, the crypto millionaires of tomorrow, are the people who have $1,000 worth of hex today, $10,000 worth of hex today, in that range.
For sure. Yep. I'm still looking for ways that it can not work out. And I've gone wide and I've gone deep.
The best. Okay. First, I want to speak to the point, and then I can speak to that. So the first point, and tell me if this is right or wrong, but I feel like the fact that hex primarily trades on decentralized exchanges where liquidity has to be there up front and where there's an automated market maker, it almost makes me wonder if what you were saying about not having to have a next buyer really is true. More in hex than it is in the housing market or the car market or the stock market.
I don't think I quite heard you right. Not having to have a what? A hex?
So basically because there's a liquidity pool there.
Oh, not having to have the automated market.
So you don't have
maker, as
to. You literally don't have to have any new buyers.
Yeah, I think of the AMAs as a kind of like in radio, in VHF radio, where you can't get a signal through a hill, but you can put a repeater on the top, and now communication can happen back and forth through that repeater. That's the function of an AMA in my mind. It's like a centralized thing that everybody can get to without having to have a direct link between each other but in a decentralized way, obviously. And so it just transfers the value back and forth inside of its own thing, you know, which is what centralized exchanges do as well. It's just a database that records numbers go up, numbers go down. But yeah, the fact that it's decentralized and just sitting up there and it's just a machine on a hill without, you know, people and staff and liquidity pools and centralized
yeah,
liquidity
because you
pools
can
and all that
sell
nonsense.
without bringing in a new person if people are providing liquidity.
Yeah, so it's kind of store and forward, I guess you
Yes.
could say, for the message, you know. So my
That's what
message
I
goes
mean,
up, and
yeah.
when the other person's ready, then they can pull that message out, kind of a deal. Yeah. Yeah. Again, you know, I mean, it's not a perfect analogy, but it's not a business up on the hill with a bunch of people forwarding messages. It's just this machine that just does it. And it does it a specific way with the whole square thing. And yeah, I don't know. It's, forgot what the question was.
So I think we were just doing our normal conversations, but the other point I wanted to make, because you said it's not robbing Peter to pay Paul, right? And
well, like the actual Ponzi schemes, like the moon
Correct.
one, you know, I mean, it's exactly what they do. They're upfront about it, and it's exactly how it works. There's no secret. Yeah.
Okay, so you want to talk about like how Hex could fail?
Other than the comment that I'm
That you haven't found anything?
doubting Thomas, I'm still looking for the reason why I should be sinking in this salty brine.
The closest thing I've come across to like Hex, you know, FUD is like, can everybody in the world really be rich?
That's an invalid question.
Tell me why.
Well, because it's like saying, can everything in the universe be hot? I mean, it's rich is just a relative term, right? So rich
Okay.
compared to what? And if it's compared to other people, then
Compared
in
to how
order
they are now. No, like I'm talking about like, quality of life.
Yeah, sure.
Quality of
compared to how
life
they
can
are
keep
now.
going up. Quality of life
absolutely.
can keep
It
going
can.
up because
It
of
can.
technology and against the will of governments that want to extract all the wealth that technology creates. So like it's inconceivable for us, at least with my like meat computer brain, to like understand exponential curves. So no wonder it's hard for me to understand like how much value technology can create to where the world could be abundant and like where everybody could live like a millionaire, working less and having more.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's a big topic.
I mean, the fact that
everybody on the planet is richer than everybody on the planet, even down to the individual in the Amazon jungle somewhere, I would think, is probably having a better job of it than they were, 2,000-3,000 years ago for whatever reason. And certainly those in so-called civilizations. Yeah, but there's always going to be people that try to find riches through oppressing other people. I can't find more resource, so I'll take resource from other people. That way I'll have more than them, and somehow that makes me feel special or something.
Well, now you can feel special by staking longer and being a better person.
Paying yourself, yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you have a hex stake, it's like being a government with a sovereign currency and printing more of it at a sane rate. I mean, that power is in the individual's hands now, and that value doesn't come from any other soul on the planet. It comes from the hex contract itself that you control. It's just a program, sits dormant on the interwebs, on Ethereum blockchain at the moment, and it doesn't do a damn thing until you go and run the code. So it's yours. You practically, if you have a stake, you are the equivalent of a sovereign nation that prints 3.69% more money every year for your population of one.
See, I think Hexaco is more than an ICO. I think it's a IQO. So it's like an initial, it's an IQ offering. So like it offers you a higher IQ because it allows you to buy your freedom and like have a better economic policy. Yay, Pulse Lore is back.
What's up? Hey, I'm
Yay.
gonna have to jump off and do some family stuff, get the kids to bed, but I 100% appreciate you guys having me on. For everybody watching, you know, Wills only knows that how we feel about him. We all love that guy.
Totally.
I saw somebody asking about him, and you know, we're all here. So
that's what I said when I was giving him a big hug on Tuesday last week in real life.
Go track him down too, because you know Wales is streaming like all the time, man. He's putting hours and hours in and getting information out, and you know he's everywhere. He's certainly not gone.
letting that be known for sure. But yeah, I'm happy to do it again whenever, anytime, and you know, I love the community. Thanks for everybody who watched, and yeah, if I can assist in helping anybody, you know where to find me. I'm on Twitter. Awesome. See, I don't even give out an email. I don't have an email right now because I'm just like, I don't even want nobody contacting me. That's nefarious.
Don't let people contact you. That's genius.
Richard Hart said email's useless, so we don't use it anymore. Telegram and sometimes Twitter if you want hate.
No, see, he's smart. He doesn't want people to be able to message him so that.
Man, I just don't even want to. You know, one day I was thinking, oh, nobody's tried to get me to shill anything, and then I was like, oh yeah, because I don't have an email. Nobody could try to hire me to do anything.
People being able to contact you, I can personally say is a disaster.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, Jonathan Kampala, thanks for the holler, buddy. He's always supporting me in the chat here.
Thanks for being on.
You're all amazing.
Thanks for making awesome music and for being a Hex broadcaster who's speaking truth to power and getting the knowledge out there. You rock. Thanks, Paul.
Right on. Thanks, man. You guys.
Absolutely, man.
Love you guys.
You know, I have to pinch myself every now and again. You know, people come on Constream when I'm here and they're, oh yeah, how you doing, da 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 da. And then when it's all finished, they're like, oh my God, I just got to talk to Pulse Lord like we're all buddies or something or other, and I've never even met him before.
Yeah,
that's cool, man.
I'm like, hey, just so everybody knows, I've never talked to any of these guys. It is, but it is cool. You know, I do know you guys a bit, and you might know me a little just from songs or whatever.
For sure, man. Yeah.
So yeah, it is great.
Awesome. That's awesome. Okay.
And, yeah. Thanks again. I'll see you guys later.
Okay.
Sounds good. Take care.
Have a good night.
Yeah, so I want to have
on his own terms.
I want to have like a bunch of people on for the Hex birthday stream, and that's really exciting. That's going to be happening on Thursday. I'm not exactly sure what the start time is going to be, but we'll play it by ear and make sure that we're covering all the events that are happening there in New York and around the world. And so, again, the point of the stream, I think it's going to be starting off like whenever the events. I know that there are 2 events in New York. There's going to be an OG roundtable that is part of the fundraising for the tour. And so we're going to get some special interviews from there. And then later in the day, there will be another celebration that will probably be lit.
Cool. Sounds good. If I'm not here in the flesh or in the pixels, I will be here in spirit. I guarantee it. I'm just not sure what's happening. But yeah, I mean, yeah, what an epic event. Time.
Yeah.
2 years. 2 years.
Two.
Doesn't seem like it. It really doesn't. I was only 3 months late, but it still doesn't seem like 2 years.
I know, right?
Yeah. Wow.
So, so if people want to find like us on Twitter, or YouTube or wherever, it's in the links below. If you go to the description of the YouTube video, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button and leave a comment. I don't have anything else to go over now. We're at about 3.5 hours. Gotta save something for next show. What about you?
I'm gonna shill one of my favorite streamers. For those that have only ever met him here and may not know where else to find him, on YouTube he is at Wales Only and the number 1, I believe. So that's where you find him. If he doesn't happen to pop back in here, and that's it. That's all I got. You're all awesome. Can't believe you hang around this long. Just blows my mind every time.
Yeah.
I'm hungry. I've had a good
Thanks
time.
for joining us today. You rock.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I mean, this is almost the only time I really catch up with the community at all, really, because I've had to sort of back off for my own sanity's sake with everything I got going on, trying to get my pilot's license and everything else. So it's cool to get this fresh perspective each time I come back, because goodness knows how much other stuff's happened over the last week that I haven't. I caught up with the Hex 19 thing, but that's about all I know. Everything else I learn here on COD Gang, just like everyone else.
Awesome. Well, thanks to everybody who's been watching at home. And in case you don't know, we stream every Tuesday night. And then on Thursdays is Hex Therapy. And then sometimes we sprinkle in some other stuff. But we'll see everybody next time. Stake wisely, my friends. Peace out.